She the queen, yeah, that's Queen Esquire. Legal trouble, she getting you out the fire. Another day and she solving another case, cause she litigate with dignity and grace. She the queen, yeah, that's Queen Esquire. Legal trouble, she getting you out the fire. Another day and she solving another case, cause she litigate with dignity and grace.
Hello, litigators and opinionators. Court is now in session. Y'all, see, this is why I do not schedule lives. You see what happened? Something came up. I was supposed to have a live at 7 p.m. Pacific time, y'all. And it is a hot mess. Several hours later, I'm here. I'm so sorry, guys. See, this is why I come on randomly, because my schedule is extremely busy and things just happen. And an emergency happened and I was caught up in that and just got out of it. So let's get into this, guys. There is a lot to cover tonight. So, I have the paperwork regarding the Shanquella Robinson tragedy. This is the investigative documentation that Shanquella's family's attorney has provided to the president, and it has the autopsy information in it, guys. It has everything in it. So we are going to get into this. Just to summarize before we get into it, there's just some really sad tragedies that has unfolded. But in this information, it has confirmed a lot of the theories and the opinions that I had. One of my theories was always that Dejanay had been the lead of the pack in this whole situation. She was the one that was calling the shots, doing everything. Well, come to find out, the concierge, however you say it, concierge, he has spoken out, and we're going to read his statement. He states that it was Dejanay who was basically the one that was his communication, the one that communicated with him. She was the lead person in that household. She called the shots. She communicated with him and all the staff. She was basically leading the whole pack. Exactly what I told you guys from day one. A lot of people kept saying that, Shanquella paid for the villa, but it turns out the person that was running the show and calling the shots in this whole case was Dejanay. She was the one that initiated the lie and told the concierge that that Shanquella died of alcohol poisoning. She's the one that told him that. This woman was very insensitive, and she was callous and cold when the staff member hugged her after Shanquella was pronounced deceased, and he was trying to show empathy to her. He said when he hugged her, she was cold and unemotional and disinterested, basically had no emotions. And the most sad part about this all, guys, is after Shanquella was pronounced deceased and she was, transported off to the morgue, don't you know, the staff member said he heard the group of these sick, deprived individuals laughing in the room. How do you laugh? I don't understand. Guys, it doesn't make sense to me. You beat somebody to death, allegedly, and this person dies and you're laughing about it? The story just has so many just dark, decrepit details in it that just absolutely shocks the conscience of humanity. So let's get into this, y'all. They even got the autopsy. Some people said they didn't want to go over the autopsy, but for the sake of the family. But we've heard news reporters talking about the autopsy. The attorneys have. The family has been the one that consented to releasing the video to the whole nation. So I personally, based upon the family's conduct with releasing this hostile video with the news reporters and all that, I don't think the family would have an issue with us discussing us talking about the autopsy. I really don't. I think they want the information out there because the more publicity this case gets, the more coverage it gets, the better. Some good news, guys, is that Court TV, I'm going to do Court TV first before we get into the autopsy. Before we get into the autopsy and all those details about what the witnesses have said, because we're going to really delve into the report. I want to first go over this Court TV video that has come out, the interview. And I knew that Sue Ann would get the family an interview with Court TV because she has done a lot of interviews with Court TV. So she has a strong connection with Court TV. So I knew that because she was representing this family, she would be able to get another interview. Oh, sorry, why does this keep doing this? She would have been able to get an interview with Court TV. So I have seen that interview. Let me see if I can find it. I want to do that first. Is this the Court TV one? I hope it is. Let's see if it is. Oh no, it's not. Hold on, y'all. I'm trying to find this Court TV one. Okay, now I got a pick to grind with Court TV. Okay, the first time they made the mistake about Shanquella's picture, I let it go the first time. Now I'm done. I'm gonna go all in, and I'm not gonna be polite. I am about done with Court TV posting the wrong picture of Shanquella. It shows a side of disregard for this victim. It's disrespectful, and it's just a lack of professionalism on their part. They keep continually posting the wrong photo of Shanquella, and they didn't even fact check to find out. It's just so disrespectful. And I don't understand why, Attorney Sue Ann or the parents or somebody has not checked them on this. And see, when you don't check these news stations on the mistake the first time, they continue to do it. And they have continued to post the wrong picture of Shanquella. It's absolutely disrespectful to this woman and her. I don't understand. She has passed away already. You need to respect and be sensitive to this woman. I'm gonna play it for you. Y'all will see what I'm saying. Okay, here we go. Oh, one thing I want to say before I play it, guys. Sorry. Before I play the Court TV interview, what I thought was great, and I talked about this yesterday, was that when they did a press conference, it was wonderful to see. I think her name is Jean-Pierre. I can't say that woman's name for anything. She's the spokesperson for the White House. She actually referenced Shanquella. So that's an indication that they did receive the very extensive documentation from Sue Ann Robinson and Attorney Ben Crump, and they have acknowledged it by saying it. Now they really kind of showed they didn't really show the passion I needed them to show, and I felt like it was just very brief and unemotional and detached. I didn't like that part, but the fact that they acknowledged it, she at least acknowledged it during the press conference, tells me that she is saying that she did in fact receive the documentation and she acknowledges it. But I just, of course, the way she responded to me was not as responsive as I needed her to do. And as a sister, I feel like she should be more sensitive to this and should be more adamant to try to speak to Biden, because she has that connection in the White House, that I feel like she needed to show a little bit more, a little bit more passion in her voice. I felt like she was a little bit disinterested. But Court TV is going to show Shanquella's mother that clip, and Shanquella's, and then the attorney Sue Ann's going to talk about it also. So we're going to hear from Sue Ann. We're going to hear from Shanquella's mother. We haven't heard from Shanquella's mother in a long time, so that's going to be great. But I just have a pick to grind with Court TV and their carelessness in posting the wrong photo.
Robinson is going all the way to the White House as her family is seeking justice. Shanquella is a native of Charlotte, North Carolina. And you'll recall she traveled to Mexico with 6 other people.
This right here was getting on my nerves, y'all. They keep posting this picture on Court TV. This is the second time they did this, and no one has corrected them about it. It's about to just tick me off. It's disrespectful, because it's like, it shows that ignorance that we see a lot in society, where they think, oh, all Black people look the same, or all Asian people look the same, or all white people look the same. No, you need to be more sensitive to people. Like, seriously, guys, who did this? Who did this, man? Seriously. All right, I'm gonna keep playing, guys. I just had to show you this picture because this picture is irritating me, because this is not Shanquella Robinson.
Last October, but less than 24 hours after the group landed, she was found dead. Then a graphic video surfaced of a fight involving Shanquella and another woman inside of a hotel room while on the trip. And Robinson's family was told that the 25-year-old died from alcohol poisoning, but the video shows her being beaten. Then an autopsy was done and revealed later that Shanquella's cause of death was a severe spinal cord injury and a broken neck. So far, nobody has been arrested in this case. But the family's attorneys Benjamin Crump and Sue Ann Robinson just penned a letter to President Biden and the Secretary of State asking for swift diplomatic intervention. And they're requesting that the Biden administration either extradite Shanquella's killer to Mexico or have the United States take jurisdiction over the case and do the prosecution here. I want to bring in my guest on the program, criminal defense attorney, former prosecutor Sue Ann Robinson, who is representing the Robinson family, and a very special guest. Want to welcome in on the show Shanquella Robinson's mom, Salamandra Robinson. Mrs. Robinson, thank you so much for making time for us this morning. And I just want to start person to person, and certainly on behalf of Court TV Network, our deepest condolences to you and your family on your daughter's death. I know there's nothing that can be said to take the pain away. And with that, my first question to you is, how are you doing today?
I'm okay.
Wow, guys. I noticed a significant, stark difference in Shanquella's mother. You remember all those interviews we used to hear several months ago? She was more vocal. She looks like she is completely all cried out. This woman is completely shattered. She doesn't even have any words left to say. When she asked how you're doing, she was like, I'm okay. She looks so broken here. Like, I haven't seen her this shattered and broken ever. It really is just crushing my heart, guys. Just pay attention as you listen to the mom. She's going to be very short and not give much, because this woman is absolutely just broken, and she feels like everyone is failing her. Everyone, except for these two attorneys that are giving her hope. Sue Ann and Ben Crump are really the only ones I feel are really giving this mother hope.
Let's talk a little bit about your daughter first, because certainly her memory is not going to be lost. But for people who didn't have the pleasure of knowing her and won't, because her life was cut so tragically short, what do you want people to know most about your daughter?
Yeah, she was a loving person, very smart and intelligent, and loved life.
Yeah. I saw that she graduated from Winston-Salem.
Oh my gosh. You remember how she described Shanquella before, how she was just very descriptive and just vocal, and how she talked about her in those prior interviews? This interview just is breaking my soul. Did you hear how she's just trying to give her just the very basics, just to not speak at all? And look at they went back to posting this incorrect photo of Shanquella. Guys, I'm gonna need y'all to go to this video, and I'm gonna need y'all to put in the comments that they need to change this picture. It's very disrespectful to the legacy of Shanquella. Like, this woman has passed away. You don't disrespect someone, even if they're alive. Like, seriously, continually posting this. Who gave her this picture? Seriously, this is not Shanquella. Come on. Every Black person doesn't look the same. Come on, Court TV. You are absolutely awful. You still didn't fix it, because they did this on the last video they did several months ago. Like,
State University. I spent some time living in North Carolina. I know what a great school that is. Obviously beautiful, highly intelligent, and really had her whole life ahead of her. And so now with the latest in this case, you have wonderful counsel, as you know, Mrs. Robinson. Sue Ann, who's on the program today, is one of our regular guests on Court TV. We love her here. And Sue Ann, let me go to you with what you're doing here. I have the letter here with me that you and Attorney Benjamin Crump, who you work very closely with, penned to the president, asking for help here, essentially trying to light a fire and get the wheels of justice moving here. There was somewhat of a response. There was a question asked in a press conference the other day. I want to play this clip, and then I want to speak to you about whether this response is satisfactory.
Our hearts go out to Ms. Robinson's family and friends. It is devastating what occurred, and certainly the tragedy is just devastating. And we've been following the news here, but because there's an FBI investigation underway, there's very little that we can say.
Daily Harvest now has a lot of different collections. The ease.
Okay, as a Black woman, I'm gonna need her to just put a little bit more bass in her tone with this case. I just feel like she's treading way too light. I mean, she has great power in the position that she is in. I mean, she talks to and convenes with the president. I'm just the way she's handling, like, oh, we're just very devastating. Sometimes the way she describes stuff, I know I know she has to be professional, y'all. But that woman, sometimes I just feel like that's like she did last time when she described when those four individuals from South Carolina went to Mexico, got kidnapped. She was like, "But cartel data is unacceptable." I'm like, girl, it was way more than unacceptable. You need to work on, like, really, really match the gravity of the crime, honey. Unacceptable sounds like something a little kid did when they went to go steal little Johnny's toy. You tell little Johnny, "Hey, your behavior is unacceptable, Johnny." I'm sorry, y'all. She just took me out with her very kind of lighthearted. "Oh, we understand what happened to Shanquella, and it's very sad." And no, girl, no, I'm sorry.
And what was your reaction when you heard that public response?
We're headed in the right direction. This is a case that came from Shanquella Robinson's family essentially charting their own path to justice, because even though we all know that there's victims' rights and that they have the right to be informed on what's happening with the case, they were not being informed on anything. They were being ping-ponged between U.S. authorities and Mexican authorities, and they took it upon themselves to say, you know what? We're going to find the best resources we can in order to get the information to get justice for our daughter. And so that's when I became involved and made the same requests on their behalf and got the same kind of ping pong information. And then we decided as a team, you know what, let's just be boots on the ground in Mexico. And I went on a fact-finding mission to Mexico to get answers for this family. And seeing the White House press secretary have to respond to April Ryan's question about the case is a step in the right direction. Obviously, the response wasn't substantive, but for the White House to obviously have the acknowledgement they've received.
Right. As Sue Ann said, obviously the response wasn't substantive. It was very light and just like, oh, I'm sorry what happened to Shanquella. Girl, I just sometimes, but with what FBI is doing, no, you guys could do more. You guys could do a lot more than just acting like, oh, FBI. You can go talk to the FBI and you can tell them what's going on. Why is this case taking so long? It shouldn't take this long. It's not that hard. They got a whole video. They have autopsy showing this woman was beat. It appears as though, based upon the autopsy, we're gonna get in all this tonight. So y'all better grab your coffee, grab your tea, whatever y'all gotta grab your popcorn, because it's gonna be a long night. Anyway, based on that autopsy, y'all, she had a lot more blows to her than just was on that video. That girl, Shanquella, went through a very, very severe beating. They beat that girl so bad. I mean, and the fact that after this girl, allegedly, based on what the witnesses are saying, that after she was pronounced deceased, and her body was taken out of that house, that villa, they sat there and laughed. And how cold and detached Dejanay was when the concierge tried to hug the girl. It just shows how evil these people are.
See the information, they know what's going on. That is the strategy. That's the path that we're on, because we need high-level diplomatic intervention in this case. Heads of state have to talk to heads of state. The head of our federal law enforcement agencies have to talk to the head of the Mexican law enforcement. The path that we're on, because we need high-level diplomatic intervention in this case. Heads of state have to talk to heads of state. The head of our federal law enforcement agencies have to talk to the head of the Mexican law enforcement agencies in order to prioritize the case, to move it forward, because this happens to be a case where justice delayed is absolutely going to be justice denied, because every single day, every minute that passes, the evidence is dissipating. the witnesses that are out, their memories are fading, physical evidence is dissipating. So that's what the urgency is in this matter. And, in the letter, we discussed that our clients understand that the United States has many priorities, but obviously transnational criminal cases that involve the death or the murder of United States citizens abroad, we have to show that that won't be tolerated.
Exactly, Sue-Ann. And it seems that that's part of the problem, right? Because with this incident happening in Mexico, my understanding is Mexican authorities did issue an arrest warrant. But is part of the problem that person, this is one of Shanquella's travel mates, was the subject of that warrant. Is she back in the United States? Is that the problem, that they can't get her there in Mexico? She's back here, so our authorities may have to get her and take jurisdiction. Do I have that correctly, Sue-Ann?
Right. There has to be communication between the two countries at a very high level in order for a U.S. citizen to be handed over to Mexican authorities, or for the U.S. federal law enforcement agencies to say, okay, we're going to be taking over this case, or we would like concurrent jurisdiction so we can do our own investigation in Mexico, an investigation here, and then that would result in the prosecution of the responsible party or parties here in the United States. But that wheel has to get going, that work has to be done, and the ball is in the U.S. authorities' court to get it going.
Sure. Mrs. Robinson, let me go to you next, please. The person that's the subject of this warrant, Dejanay Jackson, apparently was also one of the travel mates with your daughter, and it's my understanding that she also brought your daughter's luggage back to your house. What, if anything, did she say that could provide some clues as to what happened to Shanquella?
Well, she didn't bring the luggage back to my house. Khalil Cook brought the luggage back, but she came the next day to tell my family what had happened. And she said it was alcohol poisoning.
So she's saying alcohol poisoning.
Right, guys. And now we're getting more details that she, again, as I talked about, she was the lead head point of contact during this trip at the villa. The concierge and all the staff reported to Dejanay. And as I told you guys from the beginning, a lot of the stuff that I said from the beginning is being confirmed from these witnesses that I felt from the beginning. I told you, watch all the prior videos, that I said that Dejanay was the leader of this pack. And now it's being confirmed. She literally controlled and was leading that whole the trip. She was the point of contact for the concierge. They reported to her. She was the one that initiated the lie about alcohol poisoning. The person allegedly who made up that lie from the very beginning was Dejanay. She told the concierge that Shanquella had some type of alcohol poisoning. She's the one that went back and had all them other CABO5, CABO6, whatever, say that same lie. And there's also some indications and allegations from Gossip Girl that when Mr. Nazir was on his way to the villa, he had been, bumping some rap music, having his best time of his life before he gets to the villa. It appears as though, because this tragedy did happen, it's confirming from the concierge that this tragedy, that Shanquella was beat around 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. in the morning. She allegedly died during that time. So in my humble opinion, Nazir had to have known. And why would he be in there laughing with the other Cabo individuals while this woman was wheeled off dead? It doesn't make sense that he didn't know. In my opinion, he knew, and they told him. He was best friends with these people. He knew these people all the way back when he was a kid. I showed photos of them together as children several videos ago, several months ago. If you guys have been watching and subscribed to me from the very beginning of this story, that we went over those photos. They had a strong bond. There is no way that he did not know, in my opinion. That's why I feel like he's covering this whole situation up. And if he was so innocent as he claims, how come he's not at these press conferences? How come he's not advocating? He should be over there. He should have been at that press conference in Washington, in my opinion. If he's so innocent, why isn't he advocating more for Shanquella? He went pitch quiet. You don't hear anything from this man. I haven't heard a peep squeak from this man talking about justice for Shanquella. Not one hashtag, not one protest, not one letter to the government, nothing. He's acting like a guilty person, in my opinion.
But then you get these autopsy results. What do you think happened to your beautiful daughter, Mrs. Robinson?
Well, there's a video out there that what happened to her. Everyone's seen the video. The video went viral. It was all, the whole world seen it. So we know what happened.
The beating, as I described it, cruel. It's just awful. My question is why? Do you have any idea why this?
I have no idea. I have no idea. Shanquella was a kind person, a loving person. So I don't know why anyone would do her like that.
Right. Tell me, please, Mrs. Robinson, what?
See, if you can just listen to Shanquella's mom, there's a different tone to her voice, guys. You remember when we used to hear her interviews several months ago? She was more vocal, open. She was more, what's the word? She was more enthusiastic about sharing what happened. Now it sounds like she's very just to the point, tired of talking about it, tired of keep explaining herself. She's frustrated with what's going on, and she's fed up. Like even when this reporter is asking her, you know, what happened, she's like, everybody knows what happened. It's on the video. Like, stop asking me the same stuff. I want justice. I'm tired of going to these reporters. I'm tired of constantly having to repeat what happened. I want justice. She's just fed up. That's what she sounds like to me. Like, man, her voice, her tone, everything's different about Shanquella's mom, and it's actually quite sad.
What do you want to see happen next?
I need someone to be arrested, and I need justice for my family and Shanquella, because it's been 5 months, and they out here living their life.
Absolutely. Suey, and
what she really wanted to say is they out here living their best life. They out here living their best life. These women are what I consider mean girls. And again, if you guys watched my last video, I told you, although I acknowledge there's men there, what I feel is that the women were leading this whole situation, and Shanquella was the head of the entire pack. And it's very evident from what the concierge is now saying, that she was the point of contact. She was calling all the shots in the villa. She basically ran that whole place. She was the one that told people when to go eat, because the concierge reported to Dejanay, and they were like, Dejanay said, well, or the concierge said, well, you know, it's time to eat. If you guys delay any further, you're going to have to pay extra bill. Well, Dejanay is the one that riled up everybody to go eat. She was controlling the whole entire trip, guys, which is why I said I feel Dejanay was the whole issue in this situation. The frustration started with her, and everybody else followed along. It's like that whole clique syndrome. When your friend doesn't like someone, everybody don't like them in that group because they don't have a mind of their own. That's what it sounds like to me. And then you have two very evil, mean girls that I get the vibe of. Winter Donovan is very sinister, like Dejanay. So she was very, enthusiastic with, joining in on and partnering in with Dejanay in this hate campaign towards Shanquella. That's why I really feel that it was kind of like Dejanay's head. Then it's Winter Donovan, then it's Elise, and then it's the guys just kind of blindly following the pack. Like they just don't have a mind of their own. That's what it sounds like to me, y'all. And Nazir, he knew what happened, in my opinion. I believe they told him before he even got there, because that girl was already passed away. She was already passed away in the morning. I believe, in my opinion, she died between the 7 and 8 o'clock time frame. That woman was beat to death, had a hematoma. So they were beating that girl's head so bad. It just messed that poor girl up.
Robinson, tell me, please, what is the next legal move for you and Mr. Crump?
The next legal move is to get a more substantive response on whether or not there's going to be a diplomatic intervention to prioritize the case. Our plan really is not to let it get to the 201st day without some more movement being made on the case, and to just keep the pressure on, because that's the only way to really keep Shanquella's name in the media, in the press. I remember, and I'm sure you do too, Natalie Holloway's case, every single day in the White House press briefings, a question was asked, what's happening on the case, what the White House position on the case, and we just want that same energy for Shanquella Robinson.
So, yep, and she's confirming exactly what I've been telling you guys. If you guys have been watching my channel, I kept telling you guys that the only way we're going to get justice if we keep making noise, we keep protesting, we keep pushing the issue, we keep keep it in the limelight, keep it in the public. And Sue Ann is confirming exactly what I said, that they need to keep making a big deal about this, making a fuss about it, protesting, speaking about it, talking to the government officials, because that's the only way we're going to get movement. And I told y'all that from the beginning, and she's just confirming what I've already told you guys. So, y'all, there's so much to get into. So I'm just going to start. I'm going to start with going and reading the letter that Ben Crump and Sue Ann wrote, because I'm pretty sure you guys are curious and want to know what exactly was said in that letter. So I want to just dive into this. It's 18 pages, y'all. So it's kind of a lot of stuff to go through. But I mean, let me know in the chat if you guys don't care for going through this and you want me just to post a link and you can read it yourself, or if you guys want to go over it, we can talk about it. Let me know in the chat. I'll start reading it and then I'll check back and see what people are saying in the chat. And if I don't get much interest, I'll stop it. But if people say, hey, let's just go through it, we'll go through it and talk it out. Okay, so let's start out with the letter. So it shows here, you can see Ben Crump, Crump Esquire. He wrote this March 13th, 2023, guys. This was a letter they drafted up just this week. And they wrote to the Honorable Joseph R. Biden. That is our president, the president. And they wrote to the Honorable Anthony J. Blinken, the Secretary of State. Now, this is very important that they wrote the Secretary of State. Now, they knew exactly what they were doing, because the Secretary of the State is the final decision maker in terms of extradition. It goes through that whole cycle that I talked about before, how the extradition, it gets sent to the department, the State Department, and the State Department looks at it, evaluates it. And, that's the Office of Internal Affairs. They all look at it and stuff. Once they find it valid, then they send it to the magistrate. Then the magistrate within the county where the person of interest resides, and then the magistrate sees if it's valid, a valid crime. If they do find that it's valid after evaluating it, then they will issue the arrest warrant. Then the officers go out and arrest that person. Then it just goes through the cycle. It eventually gets to the Secretary of State, Anthony Blinken, and he has to make the final determination as to whether or not this person can be extradited, this American can be extradited. And, within that time, within the judicial process too, you have to acknowledge that the person of interest can appeal as well. But after the whole appeal and all that stuff, the final decision maker is the Secretary of State. So it is very good that they have addressed this to a person that can actually make a decision, which is the Secretary of State. Very good. So they say, regarding the death of American citizen Shanquella Robinson in Mexico. Dear President Biden and Secretary Blinken, on behalf of the family of Shanquella Robinson, we write to request immediate diplomatic intervention from the United States government in this transnational criminal case. The case involves the death of Shanquella Robinson, a 25-year-old ambitious, bright entrepreneur and American citizen. And she's saying American citizen because she's trying to say, hey, you should treat us like every other American citizen. She's just as much as an American citizen as anyone else. She's not her color of skin. She's an American citizen. Shanquella traveled to Cabo San Lucas, Mexico on October 28, 2022, and was reported dead in a luxury villa in Cabo on October 29, 2022. Her 6 travel mates returned to the United States the next day. 3 of the 6 travel mates, Winter Donovan, Khalil Cook, Dejanay Jackson, would transport Shanquella's luggage from Mexico to her mother's home in Charlotte, North Carolina. They would give their condolences and inform Miss Robinson that Shanquella passed away from alcohol poisoning. On November 16, 2022, one of the travel mates shared video from a cell phone camera around the campus of Winston-Salem University. Wow, we're getting details, y'all. Wow. Guys, on November 16th is when one of the people was sharing the video. That is several days, if not a week or so after Shanquella died. They had no empathy. Guys, they had no empathy about Shanquella dying. After she's already dead, they're going around sharing this girl's video around the university. That is evil, y'all. Can you believe it? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry, that took me out. On November 16th, one of the travel mates shared video from a cell phone camera around the campus of Winston-Salem University, the college that Shanquella Robinson attended. And not, mind you, this is after she was already dead, y'all. The video shows Shanquella being beaten in the villa while naked by one of the 6 travel mates, who was identified by a witness as Dejanay Jackson. An autopsy report prepared on October 30th, 2022 in Mexico by medical examiner Dr. Rene Adalberto Galvan Asegura noted that Shanquella's body had a head injury and concluded that Shanquella's cause of death was a broken neck. Now, guys, I don't recall us going over the fact that she had a head injury. We talked about the broken neck and the broken back, but now we're hearing an additional injury. This woman had a head injury. Oh my God. The beating that she got must have shocked human conscience. They beat this woman with all force. How does she have a head injury? What kind of force did they use? I don't feel it could just be someone's hands. Did they slam this girl's head into the ground after the video went off? But we did see in that video how Dejanay was doing some very, very violent blows to that girl's head. I did not know she had the head injury, guys. She had a hematoma based on the autopsy. Wow, that's new information for us, guys. After the video of the beating of Shanquella Robinson surfaced online, the Attorney General's office in Baja California Sur initiated a criminal investigation. As a result of the investigation, a warrant was issued for Dejanay Jackson by Mexican law enforcement, one of the 6 travel mates who fled to the United States after Shanquella was pronounced deceased. See that? One of the 6 travel mates who fled to the United States. Ms. Jackson was identified as the perpetrator of femicide against Shanquella Robinson, a homicide based on her gender. If a United States citizen commits homicide in Mexico and returns back to the United States, as you are aware, they can face criminal charges in the United States under federal law or state law. Exactly. Tell them the law, girl. Educate the president, girl. Depending on the circumstances of the crime. Federal charges are brought in cases where the crime involves interstate commerce and federal law enforcement agencies. We know in a transnational case where evidence was possibly transported and persons of interest communicated with each other via cell phone, federal charges could be brought against those responsible for Shanquella's death. And what makes this amazing is, guys, Sue Ann is a former criminal prosecutor. So that gives her an advantage over any other typical criminal defense attorney or civil attorney. This woman has more advantage because she has that criminal knowledge of the law. So she's utilizing her prior knowledge as a criminal prosecutor to educate the president about the applicable law, which is why I think she's incredible because of her prior criminal prosecution skills. I also was a prior criminal prosecutor, and that gives you somewhat of an advantage when you do segue into different areas of law. So I can see exactly what she's doing here in this paragraph. Under federal law, the most likely charge that could be brought against someone primarily responsible would be a violation of 18 USC section 1112, which covers manslaughter and involuntary manslaughter. See, she's using her criminal prosecutor skills here. Good job, girl. She's quoting the law. She's saying you can charge her under federal law with manslaughter or involuntary manslaughter. And that does sound applicable in this case because we can't really prove, in fact, they wanted her to die, even though in our opinion, we could say otherwise, but can you prove it? Who knows? Okay. If the individual's actions meet the requirements of murder under federal law, they could also be charged with the violation of 18 USC 1111. Go, girl. Educate them, y'all. You see, we're getting the law too, because these are the statutes that are educating you guys also of what the laws are and what can be filed under federal law for this type of crime if it is committed against an American, by an American in another country. So you guys are also getting the education from this letter, which is why I want to read it. So the applicable statutes here that the federal law can be applicable here is the violation of 18 USC 112 and violation of 18 USC 1111. Federal charges that could be brought against Co-conspirators to a homicide include conspiracy to commit murder, aiding and abetting, accessory after the fact, and obstruction of justice. And those all sound pretty applicable. I'm telling y'all, Sue Ann is on point. As you are also, of course, aware, transnational criminal cases can be complex and challenging to resolve, especially when they involve individuals and entities in different countries. We understand each country has sovereignty over its own nation, citizens, and each country has its own legal systems which can create issues. We also understand there is a protocol for the resolution of transnational crimes. Despite reaching out to consular authorities, who are tasked with being the family's guide and liaison in cases such as this, we have encountered numerous obstacles in our efforts to receive information for the family on whether those responsible would ever be brought to justice. While on a fact-finding mission on behalf of the family, attorney Sue Ann Robinson was advised by a member of the United States Consular Corps in Mexico that if the family was seeking information about the case, perhaps the family should reach out to the at-large travel mates, meaning perhaps the family should reach out to the CABO6. Basically, that's what they were trying to say. Okay, that is a hot mess that these Mexican officials was like, y'all need to go talk to the people who did it. That's just so insensitive. Can you believe that? That's why I said hashtag boycott Mexico. Anyway, certainly this is an unacceptable response to share with an American family in regards to their daughter's murder. Given the nature and scope of this case, we believe that diplomatic intervention from the United States government could help facilitate the necessary cooperation and coordination between the involved parties to ensure that justice is served timely, that the accuser tried under the appropriate legal system, that extradition is possible, and that international cooperation is fostered. Now, I think I could figure out what's going on with the FBI. I feel like the FBI is over here just sitting there twiddling their finger because they feel like what the Mexican officials gave them is not sufficient. But it looks like Sue Ann Robinson did a way more in-depth investigation than the FBI is even doing. Look, when we look at this 18-page document, this is all from the results of the fruits of labor from Sue Ann. I wonder what the FBI has done, because it feels as though Sue Ann is doing a way better job than the FBI, in my opinion. The United States can follow the extradition protocol and turn over the individual or individuals responsible for Shanquella's death to Mexican authorities. Alternatively, U.S. federal enforcement agencies can request concurrent jurisdiction with Mexican law enforcement agencies, which could permit U.S. prosecutors to bring the case in the United States as the involved parties are United States citizens. And she really has compared this case to what happened with the 4 individuals who were kidnapped by the Gulf Cartel recently. She talks about how the FBI and how they got joint jurisdiction and they were able to ask for an award for information. And they did that so swiftly in that case. And she's saying, well, how come they're not trying to do that in this case, where this case has been, sitting here prolonged for 5 months, if not more, and you guys aren't even trying to jump the ball and try to get the joint jurisdiction here. And she actually talks about that in an interview on another news station that she does. And again, we're going to be covering Shanquella for quite some few days because I have so much to cover, but I'm only going to cover this document tonight, and then we'll come back and do some more stuff another day. We have just witnessed what a swift concurrent response from Mexican and U.S. law enforcement agencies looks like in the kidnapping case of a group of U.S. citizens at Matamoros. See, I told you she's talking about it right here. Tamaulipas, Mexico. Both scenarios we are requesting on behalf of Shanquella Robinson's family require a high level of swift diplomatic intervention. My clients recognize that the United States government has many priorities and responsibilities, but believe that intervening in this case would not only serve the interests of justice, but also send a clear message that transnational criminal activities will not be tolerated. Thank you for your attention to this matter. We look forward to hearing from you soon. Sincerely, Ben L. Crump, Esquire, attorney for Shanquella Robinson. Sue Ann Robinson, Esquire, attorney for Shanquella Robinson family. Now, I told you that letter, guys, was very well written by the attorneys. Very, very cognizant of both sides and also showing the understanding and applying the applicable law. I think this was very well written by Ben Crump, and I think it evidences the excellence of this attorney and why he is worth every freaking penny that man is to ask for. And I'm tired of people trying to undermine this man and say that this man does not deserve the money that he is very much deserving of. He is a practicing law licensed skillful attorney, and he is entitled to the same, if not more amount of money as any other attorney, irrespective of his color. And I'm tired of people undermining this man, telling people, oh, well, he shouldn't get money. He's over here, making money at the loss of these victims. Boy, bye, or girl, bye. He is an attorney, and he should get paid just as any other attorney. And that letter to me shows the excellence of this man and how he really dotted his I's and crossed his T in that letter. Very excellent written letter. Now they give us all the affidavits and evidence here. We all know about this guest list here. This was the registration list here that we saw before. We're going to go through each page, y'all, since we're here all night anyway. Y'all get your coffee out. It's Friday. Y'all can sleep in tomorrow, so just chill with me, y'all. Y'all know it's not like it's on a weekday. Y'all can sleep in tomorrow, okay, boobs? Anyway, so now what people are saying, like I said, guys, Dejanay was calling the shot this entire trip. She was the head honcho. I told y'all this from the beginning, and now it's being confirmed from the witnesses themselves. So y'all know I've been on point from the beginning of this case, y'all. Y'all might want to listen to us, sister. Anyway, now people are saying, the witnesses are saying that Dejanay wrote in Nazir's name here, that this was Dejanay who wrote in his name here, which is, look, you see why there was no phone number here. When Donovan didn't have a phone number. So it looks like the same. Look at the handwriting here. The handwriting to me, y'all let me know. It looks like the same person wrote this name here, wrote Winter Donovan's name and Shanquella Robinson's name. Somebody, whoever wrote all these names the same. Someone said that Dejanay wrote in Nazir Wiggins' name. That is what one of the witnesses have said. Now that they were staying in the Linda 32, this was the invoice number that they got here. And again, Dejanay was the head honcho of this trip, y'all. It doesn't sound to me, with her being the head honcho of this trip, it doesn't sound like to me that Shanquella paid for that trip like people have been alleging. Because if she was paying for the trip, I would think she would call the shots. And it appears as though they're saying Dejanay had the best room in the villa based on the witnesses. So let's hear from the witnesses. This is the first page of one of the witnesses. We're going to go over the interview report. This interview was conducted on the date of November 19th, 2022 at 1400 hours. And there's not even redacted. The interviewer here is Santiago. He did the interview. Miguel Marquen Gonzalez. Place of interview was in San Jose del Cabo at the Criminal Justice Center. And this person was a man. He's from Guadalajara. He was a manager. That was his job. He was the manager and he had university education. So we've got that there. He is married. He's Mexican. So we're going to go into this, y'all. So just take your time. Now let's read what he had to say, y'all. He said, I am the administrator of the Villa Casa Linda 32, Colina La Paya Residential, Puerto Rico, Los Cabos. Okay, I ain't going to read all these Mexican words here. Where I have worked for more than a year and a half. Once I observed on my cell phone the video circulating in social networks where two of the guests who have registered in the villa appeared, where one of them dressed in pajamas with shorts and a blouse, possible colors pink, white with black, and a light colored cap, appears hitting another female person who was naked. Now, I've been seeing a lot of different bloggers out there keeps insisting that when Shanquella, you know, that video of Shanquella skinny dipping, they keep saying that happened the next day. It did not. In my humble opinion, that skinny dipping video happened the first day they got there. When she walked into them talking and conspiring and everything, that was the first day that they had got there. So, and that's very evidence because you can tell on the video with the skinny dipping, it looked like it was like still very midday time. And we know Shanquella never made it to midday on the 29th. She died in that morning, in my opinion. So I just had to say that because I keep hearing some YouTubers out there saying that and they're getting the timeline wrong. Anyway, so He said the video appears hitting another female who was naked. The one who is hitting the other is the person named Dejanay. So he identifies her. This is a witness that identifies the person hitting her as Dejanay Jackson, whom I identify because I served as a translator on the day of the events when the authorities were in the village conducting the proceedings. So he was the one that was the translator. Now, there had been another rumor going around, guys, that Winter Donovan had called the police, la, 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 la. Well, according to these witnesses, guys, it was Dejanay that was the one that was the advocate, the vocal point this whole time. She was the one that initiated this whole statement about the alcohol poisoning. She was the one that spoke to this manager and everybody else. In the video, it can be seen that the headboard is illuminated by the sun rays, and due to the location of the sun rays, I can deduce that it is between 7 and 8:30 a.m. since the bedroom 1 and 3 are waterfront, and it is easy to deduce the morning schedule since the sun rises on the seaside, illuminating those rooms. This statement from this witness confirms exactly what I said, and I will stand by my statement that I was one of the first people who got that timeline on point. I got to go all the way back to my beginning videos. I was the first one of the first YouTubers, persons that came out and said, I felt like the attack happened in the morning. And I remember other YouTubers started following along with the timeline, but I was the first one to come out with that. One of the first, y'all. I said it happened in the morning, and the way I was able to determine that just by what they were wearing, you could see that Dejanay had the head wrap on. She looked like she had pajamas on, and so to me, that's where I got my opinion that it happened the next day in the morning and that she had died in the morning. But I'm just saying this man is confirming what I had said before. But let's go back to what he's saying. Okay. So he said he feels it happened in the morning, which was October 29th. Since the bedrooms 1 and 3 are waterfront, it is easy to deduce the morning schedule since the sun rises on the seaside, illuminating those rooms. That is the room number 3 because that is the only one that has the ham hock outside of it. And you guys remember that ham hock. Remember that ham hock? Or sorry, I said ham hock. I must be hungry. Hammock. Sorry, y'all. I said ham hock, y'all. I'm done. Remember the hammock? That was where she was sleeping at when Khalil said the very cryptic words. We got our first dead body. She's through, foe. Well, that was the time, y'all. She was laying in that hammock because that was where her room was. She was in her room. And think about it. Why was she in her room alone when they're supposed to be partying and having fun? Why is she in there taking a nap? Because they were rejecting her the whole night. She had to swim by herself. They were making up all these excuses not to hang out with her. They were all clustered in this one room, acting weird. So it was all by herself. What else are you going to do? Yeah, go take a nap in her own room. So that's evident that she was in her own room in that hammock, taking that nap by herself while they pretty much were acting really standoffish towards her. And the hammock can be seen in the video. Also, after 10 a.m., the sun rays began to reflect towards the floor of the bedroom since there are some pergolas on the outside of the room. I can also say that in that villa, both at sunrise and sunset are very annoying. For that reason, the owner decided to place wood on the windows to prevent the sun rays from entering. I know this because I am the administrator of the villa, and on many occasions, I have been in the rooms at the time of the morning. Finally, I wish to state that the villa was reserved from October 28th to October 31st. That is all I wish to state. And we know they only stayed there one day because they got the heck out of Dodge the 29th, the evening after she was pronounced deceased. And now you can see the signatures from Santiago. He was the police officer that did the questioning, and the witness's name was retracted and taken off here because they don't want folks harassing, because y'all know everybody was harassing these people involved in this case. Now let's move on to the next interview report here. This interview report was also done November 17th at 2022 in the morning around 8:45. This was the witness involved. Now you notice why did they wait till November to do these interviews? This incident happened October 29th. These officers clearly didn't care about Shanquella, guys. They basically chalked it up as this young lady being dead because of alcohol poisoning, and they didn't care less about her. And then after that video was released, all of a sudden now the officers are going back and interviewing these people. Seriously? Make it make sense. That's how you can see that these officers, that the Mexican officials did not care about Shanquella. They could care less about this girl because they waited several weeks after she was deceased, after the video was released, November 17th. Are you kidding me? They should have done these questionings the night of the incident. They should have already been trying to find all the witnesses at the crime scene. As a prosecutor, I can say from experience, when these type of incidents happen, a lot of the law enforcement will do questioning that night of, and then they'll come back later on and do any follow-ups that they need after they talk to the criminal prosecutor, who will then say, hey, we need more questioning of this witness, go back and talk to this witness, da, 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 da. It sounds like they just started their investigation in November 17th. Are you kidding me? Unacceptable, first of all. But let's keep going. So now the name of the interviewer in this case is Sunny Boca Milan, specialized unit of the investigation miscellaneous crimes in its jurisdiction. Now, they're not going to tell us who it is, but his person's job is the licentiate in tourism. He's the customer service concierge. So this was the guy. This is very important. His statement is very important. So listen up to him. He's educated man too. He has a bachelor's. So it seems like both of these men have education. So they're intelligent individuals. So let's read this guy's statement. He said, this is my statement given to investigator agent Sunny in reference to the facts that are being investigated today after informing me the reason for my presence and the interview. I have been employed by Cabo Villas in the United States. Wow, where I work as concierge. Okay, so he works in the United States too, y'all. In attention and customer service, I provide service assistance with my doubts, any service that is needed for approximately 3.5 years. On October 28th, 2022, I have been informed of the arrival of some guests to the Villa Casa Linda 32, which is located in Padre Quino, Puerto Fundadores, Puerto Rico, Los Cabos, San Jose del Cabo, Calle Padre Gillen. The day before, I was sent the work schedule of the villas that we are to take of as concierge. So I knew that the guests of the Casa Linda Villa would arrive around 3:00 p.m. on October 28th, 2022. So guys, now we know the exact time when they allegedly arrived at 3 p.m. They arrived really late in the evening. And look at this, guys. This is where I told you. See, guys, this I have been right the whole time. I told y'all that Dejanay was the leader. Now we have the concierge saying that the main client was Dejanay Jackson. What I told y'all from the very beginning. If you go back to the videos that I've done on this, I told y'all I felt that Dejanay was the lead of this pack. She was the one that started this whole thing. She was running the whole trip. She was the lead of this whole facilitating the villa. She was the point of contact with all the staff members. She was the one that initiated all this hatred towards Shanquella because everybody in that villa answered to Shanquella, to Dejanay, even the men. The men were so weak, they didn't have a personality or a thought process. They listened. They were basically listening to the very command of Dejanay. They even themselves feared Dejanay. Even these grown men feared Dejanay, y'all. And I feel like the people somewhat was scared of Dejanay. But I feel like also that Winter Donovan has the same sinister, evil, dark, decrepit, just dark spirit about that woman. I don't know what it is. When I first saw her picture, I just was like, this woman is evil. So with her, I feel like she was definitely an active counterpart in this situation. She wasn't a passive follower. She was very proactive and directly involved, in my opinion. This is just an opinion. But like I said, look at here. He's confirming what I told y'all. If y'all been watching me and following me, I told y'all that the lead of this pack was Dejanay. Now he is telling you the main client was Dejanay Jackson right there with phone number 1-860-888-9330. Who contacted me around noon by text message to report that her flight had been delayed due to the weather. So now this is something new. We didn't know about her flight being delayed. So she had some travel issues. Flight was delayed. And she would be telling me that her new arrival time, confirming that it would be at 17:19 p.m. See that right there? So let's see what that. What is that? Ooh, 30, 40. That would be 6. Is that 6:19, y'all? Let me know in the chat. Then she asked me if after arriving and taking the transportation, she could stop to do some shopping. So now we know what they did after they arrived. So they arrived about 6:19. Then they went to go do some shopping, y'all. To which I respond that there is no problem. Then she told me that she would be letting me know the time they were going to arrive. She texted me when they left the shopping center. So guys, they didn't go straight to the villa. They went to go shopping, y'all, get whatever they needed to get before they even got to the villa. So they barely arrived. So now it makes sense why they were over there looking at all the stuff that she had got. So when they were in that room, they probably were also unpacking some of the stuff they bought too. But they had been in that room for a long time, which is why Dejanay started wondering what was taking them so long. And why were they in one room and basically excluding her out of the whole situation? That don't make sense. So anyway, she arrived at the Casa Linda Villa around 2000 hours. What is that, y'all? Tell me in the layman term. I hate when they be doing this 2000, 700. That's what? 12, 1, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Is that 9 o'clock, guys, in the evening? Let me know in the chat. 9 o'clock? I think it is 9 o'clock. Let me know, y'all. Or is it 8 o'clock? 8 or 9? Let me know. I had arrived at the villa around 15 minutes before, and upon entering, I see a person of slim build, Afro-American, about 1.75 m tall, about 25 to 30 years old, to whom I introduced myself, since he asked me who I was. I told him that I am the concierge and that I will be supporting his vacation in everything he needs. Also, the villa were chef and waiter. So there was a chef in there, guys, and there was a waiter who are employees of the company. And there were coworkers there. So we got a lot. Now we're getting details about who was all in this place, guys. Everything now. Now those are possible witnesses. We got a concierge, we got a waiter, we got a chef, and we got coworkers in there. So we got a lot of witnesses that can testify in this case. Moments before, when I saw the guest, I was surprised since I wasn't aware that there were guests already at the villa, to which the chef told me that two people, a couple, had arrived at the villa a few hours before. However, I only saw the male guest described above. I prepared my registration sheets, the information I had to provide to the client, guacamole, tortilla chips, margaritas, and I waited for the main client. See, look at that. This man is standing at attention of Dejanay like everybody else. This man is waiting until Dejanay gives a command. Everybody waiting until Dejanay gives a command. This woman was the head honcho. Like what I told you. She called the shots in everything. She probably even assigned the rooms. She told them when to go eat. She told them everything. That's why I feel like she's the one that ignited this whole violence from the beginning, and why everybody stood at attention video recording it, because they were just as scared of Dejanay as anybody else was. So they weren't going to step in anyway. But then the fact that they sat there compliant, videotaping it, and then compliant with the lie that allegedly she was the one that initiated. I believe that whole lie about alcohol poisoning derived from Dejanay, because this woman was calling the shots the entire trip and probably has been calling the shot the entire friendship. And just as much, I feel like just as much Nazir followed along too, like a little lost puppy. Okay, this man over here, look at, he said he waited for the main client. So like he waited at attention until she gave the command, basically, who arrived almost immediately in the CABO6 transport. They got off with their groceries. So let's see what they bought. They bought some groceries, y'all. They bought bottles of alcohol and tequila. And they put down their suitcases, started taking pictures of the villa. So they basically bought a bunch of food. It wasn't like they were shopping for clothes and trying to be, dressed up. They bought food and drinks and alcohol, drink it up, getting all drunk and stuff. And then they put their suitcases down, started taking pictures of the villa. They looked excited. Oh, well, shoot. That's hard for me to tell y'all, because the videos we saw, they didn't look excited at all. The only person that looked excited to me, y'all let me know in the chat. The only person that looked excited to me was Shanquella. Everybody else looked dry as a bone. Okay. They looked excited is what he said. Where we at, y'all? Where we at? Okay. They looked excited. In total, 5 people arrived. Okay. So this witness is confirming, guys. Remember we talked about CABO6? Well, this witness is confirming to us. We just read it word from word. He said only 5 people arrived. So he is confirming here. The witness that was there, personal witness, is saying basically only 5 people were in that Cabo in the Cabo Villa, whatever. Sorry, in the Cabo was in that villa on October 28th. That means Nazir is telling the truth that he was not there on October 28th. We can at least decipher that he was not there. That doesn't mean, in my opinion, that he's not an accessory after the fact, because in my opinion, the issue at hand is whether he knew what happened to this girl on the when he got there. Did they tell him something? Did they show him a video? Because to me, it sounds like he knew. And again, I'm only speculating because I don't have evidence of that. But at least we have evidence here that there was only 5 people that arrived, not 6. So, or not 7, sorry, not 7, because there's 7 total. So they're not saying that Nazir was there. But let's see some. There's some that might change down along the lines, because I'm seeing some down here, y'all. Let's go ahead and read. So they said 2 of them was African American. So we got 2 African American, 1 between African American and mixed Latino. That was Winter Donovan. Everybody know that she's mixed of them. And the main one, see, this man always refers to Dejanay as the main one. She is the lead of the pack, period. She calls the shots. Everybody bows at attention to this woman. It makes sense now, guys. Y'all got to know the roles that these people are playing to understand the whole thing, that how it went down. The main one, he always calls her the main one, named Dejanay Jackson, who is of sturdy build. No, he didn't, y'all. They roasted her already. Said she's of sturdy build. Oh, Lord. Everybody keep going in on Dejanay, and I don't really care. I have no empathy for this girl whatsoever. Sturdy build. Dark skin with a thick voice. Ooh, a thick voice. He is not, guys, he is not being lenient on his description. A thick voice sounds more like a manly voice, basically. Dang, this guy's not playing. She was accompanied by 2 male guests. So let's count the people. That's 1, 2, 3. And then we got 4, 5. That's 5 people. So we missing somebody. 2 African Americans, that's 2. Then between African Americans, that's 3. Then they said Dejanay, that's 4, 5, 6. So in total, there's 6 people, because we just counted them right here. Because 2 African Americans, that's 2, right? And then 1 between African American mix, that's 3 people right there. Then you add Dejanay, that's 4, and then they said 2 male guests. So that's a total of 6 people that were there on October 26th. We just counted the number. So Nazir was honest about that 1 point. The witness is confirming that. So we can't keep arguing that he was there on the 28th when the witness is saying he wasn't, basically. Both of slim build. One of them had dreadlocks. Well, we know who the dreadlock one was. That was Malik. I introduced myself to the main guest. See, they always call her the main guest. Miss Jackson, as her concierge, and welcome her. So he didn't even talk to the rest of those people. He went straight to the lead of the pack, Dejanay, who I've been saying this whole time for several months that it was Dejanay, the lead of the pack. And now he is saying he goes to her. He tells her he is her concierge, and he welcomes her. He just totally didn't even acknowledge all the other people. He said hi to them, whatever, but he went straight to Dejanay because she was the one calling the shots and controlling the entire trip. I asked her if she would like to see the villa and show her to her rooms, along with some of her guests. See, along with some of her guests. So it's like it's her villa and the rest of them are just her guests. You see that? And friends, to decide who would stay in the rooms. So that's when he's going to let them know they're going to show them around the rooms to see who wants to stay in what room. We return to the dining room to sign the documents, which consist of guest registration, insurance included in the villa. So see that insurance part? Because then they was talking about that $5,000 that they wanted Salamandra, the mother, to pay for. Well, they had insurance in the villa. So what's going on with that? And residential complex rules, and provide a copy of each one of them, registering the following. Okay, let's see who they registered. They registered number 1, Khalil Cook, number 2, Malik Dyer, Winter Donovan, number 3, Shanquella Robinson, number 4, Elise Hyatt, number 5, Dejanay Jackson, number 6, and Nazir Wiggins, illegible investigation agent. Now, just because they registered him doesn't mean he was there, guys, because here we already talked about at the beginning, because I heard somebody on YouTube trying to say, oh, Nazir was there. No, he was not. Y'all need to learn how to read. Learn how to read. When you count the number, it was only 6 people that was there on the 28th. So we know for sure he was not there. I just got to keep saying that because I hear some YouTubers out there giving misinformation. And on my channel, I want to make sure I get it right. Okay. So investigation agent Sonny, Jasil, Poca, Milan in this act. The main guest stayed in the master bedroom. You see that? Because we've been hearing a lot of misinformation that it was Shanquella that stayed in the master bedroom. But no, the witness, the concierge, he is the manager, he is the head honcho, that caused the shots at this concierge. He is the manager based on his title. Or not, sorry, he's the concierge. Sorry, he's not the manager. The other guy is, but he's the concierge. He is saying that the main guest, who is Dejanay, she stayed in the master bedroom, not Shanquella. So that whole rumor about Shanquella paying for the villa, we can now decipher that that is not correct. She might have paid a portion like everybody else, but it appears as though it was Dejanay who was the head honcho, who made the determination, who stayed in the master bedroom, according to the concierge, which is located at the end of the living room. There are 2 rooms, and at the end of the kitchen is a TV or internet entertainment room. Then an access with an open area, which connects 3 more rooms. The first room on the left is waterfront. The other room on the right is also waterfront. And the third room, which is a double, not waterfront, is at the end of the garage. I love it because this guy really is laying out all the different rooms. We know what the rooms are. We know where the TV and the entertainment room is. Everything here, guys. And if you look at the rooms that he's describing, none of these rooms he describes is a game room. And you remember Nazir, he already got caught in a lie based on this witness because he told us during his statement that he found Shanquella in the game room. Well, there is no game room according to this concierge. He did not reference a game room at all, period. Now there's a TV room or entertainment room, but there's no game room. So we already know Nazir was already not even getting his story right. Got caught in a lie right here, okay? So this was a Sonny's statement. I feel like Sonny's statement was a very helpful statement. Now let's go. He's continuing on, though. He said, I went to the room of the main client. Again, main client. He always calls her main client, Miss Jackson, to mention to her that dinner was ready since 20 hours. See, he never talked to the other people. He always went to Dejanay. I feel like this is the same way that this CABO6 friendship was organized. Everybody answered to Dejanay. She's always been the head of the pack, and people feared this woman. She got that very strong, authoritative attitude and personality. I feel like these people feared her in a way, but it doesn't, it's not saying that they weren't compliant in this whole situation. I'm not saying that. I'm saying, though, that it feels as though they gave into this woman's leadership and peer pressure, basically. Just sickness, right? So anyway, they didn't have a mind of their own. To mention, so he doesn't go to anybody else, guys. He goes to Dejanay. Like I said, she was calling the shots. They answered to this woman. So to mention to her that dinner was ready since 20 hours and that if it needed to be extended, they could be charged an extra hour, which she did not agree to. Now, notice that again. She is calling the shots. Is nobody in the other room. She's the one saying she doesn't agree to. So it makes me wonder, did she pay for the villa? Because it's like nobody else is even having a say in anything. He's asking her everything. She doesn't agree to it. And she sent everyone to dinner. Look at everybody. It's like she's the head honcho. Everybody's following her commandments. She tells them that they all got to come eat now because she said it, because she didn't want to pay. She didn't talk to any of the other people. That man answered to this woman's every beck and call, which to me tells me exactly what the CABO6 was doing in this situation. And the person who made up the lie was from Dejanay. I don't think it was anybody else. I think those people followed along with that lie, just that they were just as much compliant accessories because Dejanay made up this lie about the whole alcohol poisoning, just like she's sending everyone to dinner, just like she didn't want to agree to an extra charge and nobody else had a say in it. So she sent everyone to dinner at her command. They complied. And since everyone was settling in her room, look at that. Everyone was settling in her room. Now, he didn't mention that Shanquella wasn't in there, though. Look at how everybody follows along with this girl. They all in her room. Look at, I told you, she's the head honcho. They all have their own rooms. Why did everybody flow into Dejanay's room? That room that we saw on the video, that was her room. They're like, it's like they're lost puppies without this girl's commandments. They all follow along in this woman's room. Like, you don't have your own mind, your own decision making. You have to just sit there and huddle at her beck and calls. Like, seriously. I know it was her birthday, but it's not that serious, okay? So minutes later, they all sit at the table and begin to drink a lot. That is when I meet Miss Shanquella, who was the last one. Look at that right here, y'all. Exactly. Look at that. The last one. That tells you right there that she was an outcast. Right there. Last one to approach the table to celebrate. Noticing in her a strange attitude. Yes, because she had been repeatedly rejected by these mean girls the whole night, and the men just followed along, being mean right along with them, with the others. And so she started to feel this wrong vibe that she didn't feel right. That's why she had a strange attitude. She seemed to not fit in with the others. When I introduced myself, she did not greet me or smile. She was indifferent, nothing to do with the atmosphere of the celebration. Yeah, she was indifferent because this wasn't a celebration for her. She was treated like an outcast the whole time. Instead of celebrating, having fun, these girls repeatedly rejected this girl, huddled up in Dejanay's room, listening to her beck and call as she was complaining and whining and pouting about Shanquella, which is what I told y'all several months ago, and now it's being confirmed by the witness. See, I told y'all should just listen to me because I be knowing stuff. But anyway, I made sure that they were seated, having dinner and sharing and celebrating. Oh, he said she was out of place at that party. Look at that. He said she was out of place at that party. Yes, because she was not included in that little popular group. She was the outcast. They never wanted her on the trip in the first place. She just was a fill-in for the person they really wanted to go there who didn't show up. That's what this was. Last minute add-on to the party, basically. I made sure that they were seated, having dinner, sharing, and celebrating. That they had the information for the internet, the audio, the operation of the house. Once everything was ready, I left all the clients, chef with the phone number, and waiter with the phone number, and stayed in the place. The next day at 13:50 or 13:52 hours, so that is 1:50 or 1:52 hours, I received a text message from, again, the main guest, Miss Jackson, y'all, asking if I am available. See, I told you this woman was calling the shot the whole time. She made up this whole lie, y'all. She was the one that made up the alcohol poisoning lie, in my opinion. And which was the nearest medical service. So this doesn't mention anything about Winter Donovan calling the police and all that, like that police report said. Remember the police report that was supplied by Mr. Gerardo? Gerardo was over here posting fake news. That report was not even from the police officer. This is the report actually from the police department that we're getting now from Sue Ann. Whatever report Mr. Gerardo was showing y'all was fake news from him. All that stuff was fake and incorrect. He was making up all that stuff, which caused a discord and confusion amongst different people because we didn't know what was going on because it was Mr. Gerardo over here trying to get some payment, making up fake news. Because now we're hearing it wasn't even Winter Donovan that made the call. We're hearing that it was Miss Jackson who called the concierge here. And she was the one that initiated and started this whole alcohol poisoning thing, asking for medical service. He said, I greeted her and asked her how could I support her and if she was looking for a hospital. She said yes. I think my friend has alcohol poisoning and needs emergency services and someone to speak or translate in Spanish for us. So see, this is where that whole alcohol poisoning lie derived from. Dejanay Jackson. Dejanay, like I said, this whole time, that woman was the lead of this entire pack. She was the one that had the main hatred and animosity towards Shanquella. She was the one that riled up everybody else to have that same hatred because they followed every little thing this woman did, y'all. Everything. And that whole like the domineering attitude segued into this whole trip where you have the concierge answering to every beck and call this woman said. And now you can see where that alcohol poisoning lie derived from. It derived from no other than Dejanay Jackson. She is the one that created this lie. And everybody else followed along, in my humble opinion. He said it right here. She was the first one that started this lie in the first place. I think my friend has alcohol poisoning. You liar. You know exactly what she has. You beat that woman to death, in my opinion. And now you want to come up with this lie and have everybody else follow along with you. Those people were probably scared that she was going to beat them to death too, even the men. Okay, the way she handled Shanquella, fighting Shanquella like she's a man. Everybody else probably in that house was scared she was going to beat them to death. Not to excuse anything they did, because they were all very proactive in this case and just as guilty as she is, in my opinion. But I'm just saying they probably was over there just as scared as everybody else, thinking she gonna beat them just as bad as she beat Shanquella. Okay, acting like she's a whole man. No wonder people confuse that woman as a man, because she act like one. Anyway, I offered to send her a doctor so he could determine if it was necessary to go to the hospital. And I told her that doctor speak English. She said, yes. She answers, yes, please. I tell her that it costs $100 for the visit plus the medicine. I ask her if she agrees, and she answers yes, as soon as possible. I tell her that I will make the call to request the service. So again, this right here, guys, is showing all that stuff that Gerardo was telling us was a lie. None of that stuff. That was not a police report from this case. Now, wonder everybody was confused. Now, wonder people didn't understand about, remember the whole CPR? And they said that the doctor had did this, I don't know, several hours of CPR. That came from Gerardo. So all that stuff in that report was false. We don't even know if they did CPR. We don't know anything at this point. We can basically just delete anything we heard from Mr. Gerardo, whatever sources he provided, because here we're hearing that it was Dejanay that made the call to the concierge. And now we're hearing it's the concierge, not Winter Donovan. It's the concierge who made the call to the doctor, not Winter Donovan. There was nothing at all about Winter Donovan. This whole time, the person that was calling the shots was Dejanay the entire time. Every little thing, which is why I think this lie derived from her. She made up the lie and everybody else followed along like blind, lost puppies that have no mind of their own. Just as wrong as she is. Okay? So he says he tells her he will make the call. He made the call, not Winter Donovan. And what I make it find very disgusting is Winter Donovan and his brother and everybody, and her brother and everybody was talking their little mess that we talked about before on their Facebook, talking about, see, look, see, my sister was trying to help. Da, 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 da. He was over here listening to a police report that was falsely created by Gerardo to try to get clicks and views. Gerardo don't know anything that happened in this case. He was over here acting like he knew about cases. He made up a fake 911 call, all this stuff. Probably the only accurate thing he might have had in this whole thing was that picture, because at first I thought the picture was fake, but now we're hearing the description of what Shanquella had on, and she did in fact have pink shorts on based upon what the witnesses are saying. So it's turning out that this was actually a picture of Shanquella Robinson. You know, I didn't really believe it at first. I didn't want to believe it at first, y'all, but now it's starting to sound as though that really is her, and that really is the doctor, allegedly, and those really are the Red Cross people, based upon what this witness is saying. And he described to a T what Shanquella was well in the day after she passed away. So anyway, let's get back to this. At around 2:00 p.m. on October 29th, y'all see that? I called Dr. whatever that person is, who is our contact for medical attention of our guest, whose telephone number is. Now he's saying at 2 p.m. Guys, let me know in the chat because y'all know this case just as much as I do. Do y'all remember the time that Nazir says he arrived to the villa? Because that's very important. If they called for this doctor at around 2 p.m., my question is, because he talked about he was there when the doctor was there. What time did he arrive again? Y'all remember? Please let me know in the chat because I'm trying to remember. I think this woman was already dead, y'all. She was already dead, in my opinion. So who's our contact for medical attention of our guest and whose number is, and you got the number. In about 4 minutes, Miss Jackson texted me asking me what I had been told, and I answered her that a doctor is going to contact her to check her friend. And she replies, okay. Attached to this document is a screenshot of the conversation with Miss Jackson and I, where she asked me for medical help. The conversation is recorded on 3 letter-sized sheets of paper attached here too. At 16:25, that's around 4:25, Blank texted me and told me that the girl has to be hospitalized. So we know by then Nazir's there because at 4:25 he already have been there. Because after being evaluated, she has to be hospitalized, and that her friends were finding out if she had insurance, to which I asked if she is in serious condition, and the doctor said no. This is where I think right here the doctor was compliant in this lie. That woman there, how was it that Shanquella was even alive? You said the doctor's sitting here saying she wasn't in serious condition. Are you serious? Are you serious, doctor? That woman was dead and you couldn't even tell that she was not alive, in my opinion. This woman seems just as much compliant. What's really going on? I want to know what's really going on. This sounds weird. But that she does need an IV and that she is practically unconscious. Is she just practically, or is she unconscious? This doctor sound like she don't know what she doing, y'all. It sound like that's why I feel like this lady's a fraud. I did a whole story on her. I feel like she's a fraud. She's involved in all this kind of technology stuff and does all this weird stuff with technology. It don't seem like she really know much about being a doctor. I'm just saying. Okay. And so they said she said she's not in serious condition, which is weird. I don't know how she wasn't in serious condition, but that she does need an IV and that she is practically unconscious. And that was why she has to be hospitalized. Later, the administrator with telephone number called me to ask if I requested an ambulance for the villa. I told him no. Now, nowhere in this witness's statement did we ever hear anything coming from Winter Donovan, period. And this is from a witness's statement who was there. So, guys, this is evident that Mr. Gerardo Zuniga is a fraud, in my opinion. This man fabricated the story. He made up fake news, in my opinion. He made up a fake report. He made up all this fake 911 call stuff. And he was over here getting paid by it. Everybody over here paying this man PayPal and all this stuff, Cash App. And now we got a witness that doesn't even not once mention at all Winter Donovan, period, because she had nothing to do with this. It was the concierge that was making all these calls, and it was Dejanay that was calling all the shots and giving the instructions, not Winter Donovan. And it's very disgusting that Winter Donovan never tried to say nothing to her brother to correct her brother, because her brother out here was acting and looking like a fool, because he over here talking about, exactly, my sister, she cared. She called 911 when she really didn't. And when the truth come out now, we see that she was nowhere to be found. It was Miss Jackson's fake self trying to cover up a crime of what she did. Basically, covering up what she did. Allegedly. Later, the administrator with telephone number called me to ask if I requested an ambulance for the villa. I told him no. He tells me that security of Puerto Los Cabos is asking him about the request and access of an ambulance to Casa Linda, number 32. Later, Blank called me to tell me that the guest had died. You see that? and asked me to go there as soon as possible. That he is already on his way to help in whatever he can. I went to Puerto Los Cabos from Cabo San Lucas after having spoken to blank. Upon arriving at the villa, I find a couple of municipal police officers talking to blank in the parking area of the house. And one of the guests, who was African American descent, regular build, short hair, was coming and going from the house and calling by cell phone a relative or friend in the United States using a blank as a translator. What that sounds like to me, guys, it sounds like that was Khalil. That sounds like Khalil, because he was calling the family and telling Salamandra what was going on, because that's what Salamandra said. I also saw the main client. See how he always refers to Jackson as the main client. Like I said, this woman was a head honcho of this whole situation. Main client making contact with the male guest, and on several occasions entering and leaving the house. What was she doing? What was she trying to hide? And what was she entering and leaving for? I'm trying to figure out. Was she packing up her stuff, getting ready to go? Okay, it sounded like she was packing up her stuff, getting her stuff out that villa, it sounded like. During this time, I am waiting for blank to tell me what to do, since he are my concierge team leader. So I enter the house, where I initially observed the guests relaxed, calm, sitting in the living room area near the bar and table. Now look at these people's demeanors, guys. This woman was pronounced dead, right? She is dead. And they're relaxed. They're calm. They're sitting in the living area near the bedroom. How are you relaxed and calm sitting down when someone died on your watch, especially after you beat this woman to death and you sat there watching and videotaping it? And then, based upon the letter from Mr. Ben Crump and Sue Ann, we hear allegedly, y'all, that around November, they started sharing the video around after she was dead. They felt no empathy or remorse for what they did to this girl. Even after she did, they did not care about Shanquella at all. No empathy. That is absolutely sickening. It's evil and it's sickening. Who does that? I don't understand how you can watch someone die after you've seen this person get beat to death, or you're the one that did it, allegedly. And all you have to do is speak relaxed, calm, and sitting in the freaking living room. This is evil as all get out. Guys, you got to be careful. Now, Benjamin, I know everybody keeps saying she paid for it. She didn't pay for it, sweetie. We don't have any receipts on that. It sounds as though they kind of all paid for this. You know, we don't know the full details, my love, Benjamin. We're still trying to figure that out, but it really sounds like Miss Dejanay was calling the shots. So, and she was the one that was designating the rooms, and she had the master bedroom. So it's appearing as though she paid a lot for that villa. We're trying to figure out that part of it, but it doesn't really sound as though now that that it was Shanquella that paid for the villa. So that's still, it sounds like Miss Dejanay was the one that was the point of contact, which makes me believe she paid most of that villa, if not all of it. But anyway, let's get on to this. My purpose was to look for the main guest, Miss Jackson, and give her my condolences. You see, notice how this entire trip, guys, that man never spoke to anyone but Miss Jackson at all in that whole villa. That should tell you something. It tells me that possibly Dejanay was the one that set up this whole villa. She was the one that paid for the villa, probably took everybody's money, paid for it, paid most of the villa, because she called the shots. She was leading the whole time. She gave everybody commands. He didn't go to anyone else. He went to Miss Jackson and gave her his condolences. He didn't go to anybody else. He didn't go to Khalil. He didn't go to Malik. He didn't go to Winter Donovan. He didn't go to Elise. He didn't go to Nazir. He went to Miss Jackson and gave her his condolences. That tells you everything. When I talked to her, I gave her my condolences. Miss Dejanay could care less about Shanquella at all. At all. She didn't care at all that this woman died. That is so sick. So for him to give condolences, he didn't even realize, hindsight 2020, that it was Dejanay who was the contributing factor for why this woman was dead. Okay? She thanked me and told me that they had talked to her friend's mother. Yeah, and told the friend's mother the same lie, basically. And mentioned that this was so fast to lose her in an instant for having too much alcohol. There she go again. There she go again. Dejanay trying to keep up with this same lie. No, what she really meant to say was it happened so fast with her beating Shanquella to death, allegedly, and leading to her death. Don't try to change it now, Dejanay, with this whole lose her life in an instant for having too much alcohol. No, she lost her life in an instant after you beat that woman to death, allegedly. Allegedly. Okay. I asked her if I could give her a hug, to which she said yes. Now listen to this, y'all. Listen up how she acted after he gave her the hug. She gave me a very indifferent hug. Very cold. This woman is evil to the bone. These whole CABO6 people are straight evil. Indifferent and cold. She did not care at all about what happened to this girl, Shanquella. That is so sick. Her anger, her jealousy, and her insecurities got the best of this woman, that she did not even care after this woman died. You would think after this woman was one of the contributing factors to this woman's death, allegedly, that she would have at least had a talk with Jesus, a come to Jesus moment, and feel empathy. But no. She didn't care, guys. She did not care one bit. And when she gave that hug, it was very evident that she had an indifference towards this woman's life. She was very cold, no emotion. This woman didn't have a drop of a tear on her face. That woman's face was dry as the Arizona desert. Dry. I asked her if I could, I saw a very sad guest, a skinny girl. And I saw that she was in pain. Now that to me, guys, that sounds to me like Elise Hyatt. It sounds like Elise Hyatt because to me, Winter Donovan has a little bit more chunk to her body. And she's also previously been pregnant. So she's got that pregnant weight, I feel. So the skinny girl, I believe, was Elise. And if she was in pain, she might have been the one person that felt some form of remorse for what happened. And now I'm not going to say it was any sincere, but she sounded like she was in pain. Now, that in pain could have also been related to the loss of her sister, because she might have found out by now that her sister was deceased. So she might be dealing with two different deaths now, like, dang, this is too much for a girl. But at the same time, she just as much compliant. I'm trying to figure out where Elise was in this whole equation, because we didn't really hear her on the video. So I'm trying to figure out where was she when this whole attack unfolded. Okay, that's the question I do have about Elise. But I feel like this one was Elise, because Elise is the skinny girl, in my opinion. I left that area and stayed outside the main entrance to give them space to mourn. They weren't even mourning. You know what they were doing? Instead of him thinking that these are really genuine people, right? But these people weren't mourning. They were trying to sit here to figure out getting their story straight about what they're going to tell Shanquella's mom. And the Dejanay's the one that initiated this whole alcohol poisoning story. So they're trying to figure out how they're going to get away with this, basically. But he thinks that they actually care. So he's trying to give them space to mourn and grieve. Okay. Look at this, guys. Minutes later, I heard laughter. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? What is so funny about a woman being beat to death and losing her life before she could even reach her next birthday? When all these CABO6 people got to experience their birthday. Dejanay had her birthday. That's why she went to this trip in the first place. Nazir had his birthday. We heard about Winter Donovan having her birthday in December. Everybody got to live to see their birthday, but this woman did. What is so funny. Minutes later, yes, Cookie, minutes later, you heard that very correctly. Minutes later, Cookie. As soon as he trying to think that these are actually legitimate people, right? He over thinking he really dealing with some good people. No, he's dealing with straight demons. Minutes later, y'all, he hears laughter. That is so evil. It is demonic. They did not care at all. And they, till this day, guys, they don't care about Shanquella till this day. All they're trying to do is figure out how they're going to get away with this. And they are laughing at the judicial system right now. They're laughing at everybody. They're laughing at us as the YouTubers. They're laughing at you guys as the viewers. They're laughing at Sue Ann. They're laughing at Benjamin Crump. They're laughing at everything. When they see those news conferences, they laugh because they think they're going to get away with it. But they're going to be very shocked to find out, when you know how the FBI moves, when eventually the FBI is ready to move, and when they make that announcement, there will be no more laughter. But they want them to think. They want them to put their guard down so they can start talking and over there acting a fool. And that's what they're going to do. They're going to go around and talk like they got away with it. And it's going to get back to the right authorities, and they are going to bury themselves because they're now putting their guard down. It's been 5 months. So they're like, oh, well, I'm going to get away with it. I'm good. Now, as they put the guard down, then they're not hiding out as they used to. They're coming out of the woodworks. You know, Khalil's mom, she went into hiding, or she's going to come out to her little hiding cocoon. She's going to let Khalil, he's going to go back to living his life. Everybody going back to the normal operations of life until that day when that news conference pops up out of thin air, when nobody's least expecting it, and everybody in the CABO6 is going to be shooketh. But right now, I'm telling you, they are laughing at the judicial system because they think they are going to get away with it. Laughing at the judicial system, just like you heard them minutes later, they heard them laugh. They are laughing at every last one of us right now. Every last one. I bet you they sit here and watch all these videos just laughing. Laughing that this woman lost her life. Just so evil. That goes to show you need to be very careful, y'all, about who you let into your life. Because some people don't even care about human life. I'm sorry, I got caught up in that one part. Let's keep going, y'all. Y'all know I got caught up. Anyway, I approached who told me to leave to go back to my villa in Cabo San Lucas, that he will be in charge of following up and supporting the clients and the authorities. I said goodbye to the clients and I left for Cabo San Lucas. Later, around 21 to 21:30 hours, the main guest, now Dejanay's back, contacted me to request transportation to go to dinner. How can you eat? How can you eat after you went through this traumatic experience of someone on this trip dying at your hands and your responsibility, allegedly? Now you're asking for transportation to go to dinner? Guys, would you be able to eat after one of your alleged associates or whatever died and you were there? I don't see me having an appetite after something like that. They just go ready to move on like nothing ever happened. Go to dinner. I don't think, guys, that they really were trying to go to dinner. I think this was a way to escape that villa. They didn't want to look and sound suspicious as if they were trying to escape, right? Because they didn't want to just say, hey, I need the transportation to get the heck out of here, because people would start noticing and start feeling like something's up. So they wanted to make it sound like, oh, we're going to be right back. We're just going to go to dinner. To try to cover up what was really going on. These people are evil, y'all. Transportation to go to dinner. Wow, guys. Like nothing ever happened, because they had not eaten anything all day due to the situation. And you still shouldn't be eating after the fact that your friend, which we know is now not none of her friends. We already knew that, though. We already knew that. I don't even want to say friend because they're not friends anyway. Okay. Your associate died because of what you did, allegedly. So I called blank with its phone number who owns Lands End Transfer, requesting transportation for the clients of the Villa Linda 32 to San Jose to go to dinner because they had not eaten anything. The driver advised of his departure from Villa Linda 32 to San Jose del Cabo to find a restaurant for dinner. It sounds as though they had did something they wanted to do. It looks like it sounded like they had, after she died, the job was done, and they had a long day of labor of murdering this woman allegedly, and now they're going to go head on to dinner to just relax and unwind after a long day of work of murdering this woman. In my humble opinion, that's what it sounded like to me. Wow. In my opinion, can you believe this? This is shocking my conscience, y'all. So I got to digest some of this stuff. That's why I have to stop, digest, and go back to because this is crazy. This is absolutely crazy. So they actually did go to dinner, y'all. They went to they found a restaurant for dinner. They went to actually eat after this. Who does that? Guys, would you be able to eat after something that's traumatic as this? I don't see myself eating. I see myself crying, trying to call everybody on the phone about what to do, trying to talk to the family. I wouldn't be able to sleep. These people went out to go eat, y'all, after murdering this woman, allegedly. The driver advised of his departure from Villa Linda 32 to San Jose del Cabo to find a restaurant. At the end of the service, the driver, blank with the phone number, blank, reported via audio message on the WhatsApp chat of the Lands End Transfer group that the service had ended, meaning they had ate their dinner and they were done, and that he had left the guests at the airport hotel. Wow. So they went out, ate, living their best life, probably laughing, chopping it up, drinking alcohol, partying, twerking, everything, in my humble opinion. And then they had and the thing was, they had packed all their stuff. They knew they were about to leave. They were trying to play it cool, packed everything, which is why, in my opinion, Nazir Wiggins knew exactly what happened. Because he was just as compliant. Why did he pack his stuff up too? He had to have known what was going on. And they were sitting there laughing in the room after this woman was brutally beaten to death and died. I wonder what was really discussed in there, because Nazir was in there too. They packed all their stuff up, made sure they cleaned up every room to go to dinner. Who does that? Because they knew they were trying to escape that criminal liability, criminal responsibility, which is, in my opinion, makes me believe Nazir was just as compliant in this whole situation. You cannot tell me that he did not know. It doesn't make any logical sense for him not to have known. I believe he knew before he got there. That woman was already deceased, which is why I don't understand how this doctor is over here saying that it was an emergency. What kind of doctor is this? I have so many doubts that this woman knew what she was doing. She sounds like she don't know at all what she was doing. Seriously. This case is just a crazy, y'all. So the driver took them to the airport hotel. They were trying to escape. As soon as Shanquella died, they knew what they were doing. They went into straight cover mode. Dejanay made up this alcohol poisoning lie. Everybody followed along. Then she told them to pack their stuff up because they was about to escape. This sounds like consciousness of guilt to me. It sounds like it. The next day, blank called me. Look, the next day, y'all, after that, the hotel, look what she did. Called me to tell me that the maid was reporting that there was no one in the villa. They had escaped, y'all. That if I had been notified that they were leaving, to which I replied that no. You see that? They escaped that villa, y'all. This was a planned escape. That the day before, they had only requested transportation to the center They only did that to cover up what they were going to do because they did not want this concierge to be suspicious. This woman manipulated that man. This shows to me the criminal mind of Dejanay. This woman has a straight criminal mind. She manipulated this man so bad. He thought that these people had really suffered a loss and a tragedy, and he was over here feeling empathy. All along, she was playing this man like a fiddle, like she playing everybody else in this tragedy. So later, around 11 a.m. in the morning, I sent a message to Ms. Jackson to offer my support, asking if everything is okay and if there was anything I could do for it. he called Dejanay an it. She is an it though. She looked like a demon. He didn't call her anything for you or whatever. He called her an it, y'all. She is an it. That woman is a demon. I don't think she has any sense of humanity within her soul. So yeah, I'm gonna start calling her. I'm gonna start calling this woman an it. Now look at the seal here. This is an official seal from PGJE, Baja California Attorney General's office. So all this evidence was from the Attorney General. That's where it looks like Sue-Ann obtained this evidence from. They gave her all this evidence. So it tells me that all this evidence is in the possession of the FBI also, because in my opinion, the Mexican officials sent all these reports in that packet when they asked for extradition of Dejanay. And notice that all the names they mention in here is Dejanay, which in my opinion makes me believe that's the name that they have on that extradition document. So let's keep going. And without getting a response, so Dejanay was on the straight run. He did not get a response from this woman until she got the heck out of Dodge. She did not respond to him because she did not want him to catch wind that she was guilty or had any suspicion in this. So that woman did not respond to that man until she made it back to America. So she didn't respond to him till the next day, Monday, October 31st, when she was in the clear, meaning she was back in the United States. This woman planned this whole thing out, covered up the murder, in my opinion, made up this lie, told everybody else to follow in line with the same lie that she initiated, in my opinion, then sat here acting like she was a victim or whatever of what happened. Then she manipulated this man into getting a ride to dinner when the whole time they were planning an escape, which in my opinion makes me believe Nazir knew everything about this because he knew that they were leaving that villa. And if there was nothing wrong, why didn't he question why they were leaving the villa so soon? If it was just such an alcohol poisoning. He knew what would happen. It doesn't make sense for them to leave. Nazir Wilderness is just as shady as anybody else. Okay. So she did not get back to him, y'all. She ignored this man until she got back to the United States. The next day, Monday, October 31st, when she texted me asking if she had to do anything else for checkout, if she had to sign anything, I could email it to her as they had already left. See, you notice that? They had already left. So she waited to respond until they had already left. Because she knew if she responded, he might catch wind, something's up, might call the authorities and get that girl and lock her up. So they was on hush mode. These people conspired this whole thing out. Later, she asked me if the property manager's number later she asked me for the property manager's number. So minutes later, I sent it to her. See, this concierge sounded like he was amazing, man. The way he handled everything. Days later, I found out that there was a lot of controversy because of the news in the video of the main guest, that same woman that deceived this man, Miss Dejanay Jackson, hitting her friend Shanquella, the guest who died. When I saw the video in social media, I realized that practically the main guest, Miss Jackson, had manipulated me. I bet you that concierge felt so just absolutely floored and just astounded. He was probably astounded. He couldn't understand. He was absolutely floored when he found out all along this man was bamboozled. He was bamboozled by this woman. He said she had manipulated me with the information that she provided of what happened to leave the country as soon as possible. So she tricked everybody. She lied and everything, manipulated this concierge so that she could leave that country as soon as possible, get the heck out of Dodge, because she knew that was going to go to jail if she didn't. It should be noted that she put the name of Nazir guest list or registry. So again, that confirms again that Nazir was not there on October 28th. So we can at least say that he was truthful about that one little thing, but it doesn't excuse what I think is that he knew all along. Now, that was the statements we have so far. Now we have this autopsy here. This is the government of the state, Baja Sur. It's the director of forensic services. They have the case number here, everything. The undersigned attorney, Renee, I ain't gonna say this person's name, y'all. Expert forensic doctor, Renee Alderberto Galvan Asegura. That was the doctor who did the autopsy in Mexico on Shanquella. And it's an expert forensic doctor of Baja California Sur. This is the information for this doctor. And I'm not gonna go over everything. I just want to kind of go over some of it. So they got her name here, Shanquella Bernada. She's 25 years old at this time. Proximate time of death, making detailed description of external, internal injuries. Now let's look at some of that. Objectives following the accepted protocols. Okay. So we're going to take a look. They did a measuring tape. They used a camera to figure out what was going on with her body. Let's see. I'm gonna try to look through here, guys. Y'all can read through it to yourself because I'm not gonna read everything. I just want to find the stuff that I really want to look at here. So I'm gonna kind of skim it and then I'll point out stuff that I feel is important. Here they're just giving descriptions of, you know, who she is and so forth, the color of her skin, all that good stuff. They say scars, no. Tattoos, yes, in the right. She had some tattoos there. Post-mortem. Let's see what they had going on here. They said rigor mortis there. I know she died. Now they said, now in her eyes, now look at this. Because usually when people's alcohol poisoning, they're going to have some type of dehydration. She was not dehydrated. This woman was very, very, had enough in her. So this whole thing about the doctor saying she needed an IV, she did not need an IV. They said here, oh, wait, no, let's back it up. Sorry, I'm misreading this, y'all. Let's back it up. Let's go back and read this. So reductible, spam, no. Dehydration, yes. Sorry, she was dehydrated. Let's strike that. She was dehydrated. My apologies there. Coronaries with black spots, they say no. So it looks like she didn't have any black spots in her eyes. Let's see what's going on here, y'all. Okay, now this is stuff I want to get into. Description of external injuries. This is where we want to look at. Here she had a direct contusion. So that means she was beat or hit. She had some type of bruise here in the frontal region with a hematoma. This woman had a head injury, a hematoma. You already know what that is. They were Dejanay or whoever was beating on her, because people are suggesting that there's another video too. Now we've already heard about there was another video and people had seen that video. I'm not surprised if there is another video. I'm not surprised if there is, because that woman had to have been beat a lot more than just what we saw in that video. That video was not enough, guys. I feel like there was so much more given the injuries we're finding on this autopsy report. Okay. She had a hematoma, guys. This is the first time we heard about this head injury here. The injury happened more than 12 hours before her death. Did you hear that? So after she had the head injury, she lived for 12 hours. Because that's what this is saying. So that whole report that Mr. Gerardo Zuniga provided us was false. That man made up that whole evidence that he gave us was fake. Because this is right here saying that this woman had a head injury 12 hours before she died. That's what it says. Injury happened more than 12 hours before death. Now they're talking about all these various hematomas. Again, they said it happened 12 hours before she had died. Contusion in the left hand. So she has a bruise to her left hand. That was a defensive wound. That's when we saw her in the video putting up her hands trying to block the blows. That's how she got the contusion in the left hand. And then they mentioned again another hematoma. This woman had all kind of head injuries. Oh my gosh. Okay, let's see right here. They show signs of a defibrillator, burns. Look at the burns here. And this is the only one with postmortem characteristics. Those burns there tell me she was dragged. They didn't even treat this woman's body with dignity and grace. They dragged this woman's body like she didn't matter. That's so evil. The right eyeball, it had internal hemorrhage. So dang, that shows this woman's eyeball was literally hemorrhaging. She was beat real bad in the eyes. Wow. Wow, guys. And they did do a blood sample for study, and they give that to the forensic chemical lab through chain of custody. So they were doing that to find out if she had alcohol in her system, because that was the allegation for what caused her death. So they took a blood sample to test and see if that was true. Now, I wonder if they're going to give us the results of that, because that would be helpful. But again, I don't feel she had anything in her because she had just woke up in the first place, okay? Unless she's drank a lot the night before. Okay, let's see here. We saw again another defibrillator, burns. That to me evidence this woman was dragged. These injuries can be seen before taking the clothes off. Now that part I thought was weird here. This part right here don't make any sense to me. It sounds like malpractice to me. How did you notice all these injuries before the clothes were taken off? That part don't make any sense at all. When I saw that, I'm side-eyeing the autopsy, the doctor here. How you see all that before you take the clothes off? What? Make it make sense. Did this doctor know what she was doing? I don't know, y'all. Or he or she. Now the head. The head had a frontal region of scalp and muscles, and it had a hematoma. Remember, she had a head injury. Poor girl. This girl's head was beat all over the place. They beat that woman so bad. Can you imagine just the force of someone's punch causing a hematoma? Wow. Wow, wow, wow. So let's see what else they got going on, guys. The woman didn't have any alterations to her stomach, so she hadn't had any food in her. Poor baby. Okay, now let's look at the upper extremities. Contusion to the anatomic. She had a contusion there, so she was punched there. Lower extremities in the left big toe. One. Okay, let's see what's going on with there. They did a photography. Yes, they didn't do a video, but they took a photo of it. They took a blood sample and they sent it to the toxicologist. I hope they got us some results of that, y'all. I hope so. We can say, based on the aforesaid and findings, that the cause of death of whom in life was called Robinson Shanquella Bernata. Atlas medullary dislocation. So we already heard about that. Type or manner of death was violent. And this happened, guys, Robles was in Mexico. They said this woman's death was violent. They didn't say alcohol poisoning. Pre-existing pathology, unknown. Now, so this tells me the government officials knew about this before that video came out. They knew this woman died of a violent cause of death. And they were sitting here still trying to cover up the lies, saying it was alcohol poisoning. And they didn't even come out and try to investigate until the video came out. So it shows to me just as corrupt. Shows me how corrupt the Mexican officials were to cover this up, y'all. The autopsy saying it was a violent death. Time of death between 17 to 20 hours when the necropsy was performed. So that's interesting. So now we're hearing, guys, we're seeing a whole different timeline. This is a different timeline than what we have seen, guys. Remember the timeline that we heard from Mr. Gerardo, Mr. Scam? Mr. Scammer kept telling us that she died within a matter of minutes after the injury. Remember, that was all a fake autopsy he did, because this correct autopsy is saying that Shanquella actually died between 17 to 20 hours when the necropsy was performed. So it sounds like she probably could have been alive that whole time based on this autopsy. And I'm just reading this with y'all, but this is sounding like she could have been alive when the doctor was there, maybe unconscious and slowly dying, but she could have been alive possibly. Now we kind of have to give that doctor a small amount of grace, a small one, because I still side-eyed her that she said it wasn't an emergency when I think it was. Signs of survival? Yes. The cadaver shows signs of torture? No. So signs of survival. So that means she could have survived if she had got the right medical treatment. Sound like they didn't do much of a good job there giving her the right treatment. Determination of the injuries are post-mortem. No. We found defibrillator injuries consistent with resuscitation efforts. Guys, this injury is in the xiphoid appendix. Wow. Guys, you know those injuries, contusions to the chest and everything? They're saying they found injuries there due to the efforts to try to resuscitate her. So the doctor gave her injuries also, which means that's going to cause causation issues, guys. That's going to cause causation issues. Probably another reason why this case is delayed, because now there's an issue as to who broke this girl's spine. Was it really Dejanay? Or was it the doctor who did this aggressive CPR? Because I'm thinking that's what the defense is going to argue. Now, we can argue all day long that it was Dejanay and the others, allegedly. But again, now we've got this autopsy saying that this young lady had injuries that was the result of the resuscitation. That sounds like the CPR caused some injuries to this young lady's body from that defibrillator. The defibrillator caused some injuries consistent with. So that is concerning. I feel like that is something that a defense attorney will try to bring up and argue causation issues and say it was the doctor that caused this woman's death. That is going to be a problem with causation. And I talked about this before on a video several months ago, and I told you there was going to be an issue with causation as it related to the poor medical treatment that this doctor gave and the malpractice, in my opinion, that she committed, because she could have caused injuries to this girl and it's going to cause some causation issues. And I discussed this several months ago, and now it's being confirmed in the autopsy, y'all, that is going to be an evidentiary issue in this case, a very significant one. And if Dejanay has a good attorney, she could might escape liability, criminal responsibility, because if the defense can raise reasonable doubt saying, well, we don't know who caused this severe injury. It sounds like the defibrillator was used pretty violent in this girl, causing injuries, some injuries to her. And she didn't have post-mortem injuries, which to me tells me right there, it confirms that Shanquella was in fact alive during the time that the doctor was trying to resuscitate her. She might have been unconscious and basically slowly dying, but based upon this autopsy, guys, this is confirming she was alive, because they're saying there was no injuries post-mortem. So she had to have been alive when they were trying to resuscitate her. She just was unconscious. She didn't sustain any of her injuries before death. So she had to have been alive when the doctor was there. But again, now there's causation issues, because now there's a question as to who caused all these injuries in the chest, abdominal area. Possibly they're going to argue that it was the doctor and her violent way of resuscitating this woman that might have broke this girl's spinal cord. That is going to be an evidentiary issue, but I think the defense will try to argue. Whether it's true or not, that is going to be up to a jury to believe. But I'm just saying, I believe the defense is going to really attack causation based upon this comment right here, where they're saying we found defibrillator injuries consistent with resuscitation efforts. This injury is consistent with xiphoid appendix. That is going to be a problem, y'all. That is going to be a very, very, very significant issue. And if it's a good defense attorney that she has, y'all, it can cause some evidentiary issues. I'm just saying. This case is not as much as a slam dunk as we thought it was. And I did mention this. If you guys watched that video several months ago when I talked about this was going to be a causation issue, and it's turning out to be that I was right. Okay. Most of the stuff I said seemed to be confirmed in this report. Okay. It's just like, wow. And now they got this video here to show, you know, the various injuries here and stuff where they saw the injuries and they did a diagram. Looks like she had an injury here and other parts. Poor girl. So that is the full thing. We got to read through all 18 pages, y'all. We did the whole thing, y'all. The whole thing. Y'all can't tell me. I don't know if any other YouTube channels actually went over the whole thing, but I went over every last page. And I will try to attach this in the description box if you want to just have it at your fingertips, y'all. This is just straight crazy. Yeah, that neck injury was definitely a fatal one, girl. It was. Mm-hmm. And it says that's probably why they also paid the doctor off. I'm feeling they did, y'all. I'm not wondering with Dinah. I'm with Dinah. Was the doctor even real? She sounded like she did not know what she was doing. Yeah, like this individual says, Shanquella makes me want to get justice for her. I didn't know her. Right. It makes me want to get justice for her too. Yes. Thanks, Rose Golden. Rose Golden says postmortem burns mean after death. Was the doctor working on her after death? Oh, really? But okay. Yeah, postmortem does mean after death. But this, at the end of the report, it says here that she didn't have any, she didn't sustain any of her injuries after death. So maybe it's, you know, because it says determination if injuries are postmortem. It says no. We found defibrillator injuries consistent with resuscitation efforts. This injury is in the xiphoid appendix. So this seems to say there were no injuries sustained after death. So I don't know, guys. I guess y'all gonna have to let me know what y'all think about that. Curious what your opinion is. I'm not a doctor, so you know, hey. My chest hurting listening to all this. I feel out of breath. I can't even imagine. Right, unicorn royalty. Girl, yes, it does just make you lose your breath. It's so sad. Benjamin says, when Khalil asked if she was going to fight back, no, Khalil didn't ask that. It was Malik. We found out it was Malik based upon the witnesses that are out there identifying the voice. But anyways, going to fight back. She meekly said no. They said she said it made me want to cry. And I'm a man. Oh, Benjamin. She was like a lamb and her voice broke me up. I know, Benjamin. It's so sad, Benjamin. Isn't it? Dang, it really did break me up, man. Benjamin says, he says, if this goes to court, does the concierge and all these people have to come here? We need their testimony. Yes, they would. They're all witnesses in this case. All these people that gave the statements, Benjamin, are going to have to come as witnesses. So I wonder how that's going to work out, Benjamin, with these witnesses. If they do prosecute it in America, they're going to have to get these witnesses to come here, y'all. Right? Benjamin says he thinks she was tortured, man. It sounds like she was. They beat this girl to death, man. Most people who die from alcohol poisoning have underlying conditions. You will throw it up before you die. Right. And she didn't throw up anything, allegedly. I didn't hear anything about in these reports that she threw up anything. It's just crazy, y'all. This is crazy. Right. Like Crystal said, Diogene, whatever her stupid name is not human. She doesn't act like human the way she treated that girl. It was straight up demon, y'all. Straight up, like Asila says, straight up demon. Right. That so-called doctor is not a doctor. I don't think she is too. Do you realize how bad it would make them look if they admitted that they had an unqualified medical personnel? A lot of Americans would be questioning. Oh yeah, that's true. They're gonna keep that under wraps. It sounds like she don't even work at that hospital anymore either. The problem is, I don't know if they're going to be able to find her. And the more this case is delayed, are they ever going to be able to find her to talk to her, y'all? That's the thing. Mary Brown says, I had dreams about her. She was such a sweet person. Why is it okay to gang up against her? Because there's a lot of evil bullies out there, Mary Brown. A lot of evil people out there, sweetie, that don't have good intentions for people. Don't be surprised if you hear about them getting unalived. Girl, I hope not. I hope not. Don't take justice in your own hands. Let the judicial system handle it. But I'm just saying there's a lot of people that are enraged about this case. So you just never know. People do some sick stuff out there. And then they were trifling about after they got home. They laughed at her. After a week later, they were sending and disseminating that video around to people after this woman was killed. These people are so evil, y'all. That's what I'm saying. This report that we just went through, it makes me want to go even harder for Shanquella. I want to fight so hard for this woman's justice. And I'm going to keep coming, at least using my platform to advocate for this girl, because this report here made me feel even more empathy for Shanquella. I already felt empathy for her, but all the details we're hearing about how they sat there and laughed minutes after the concierge man left, how they strategically planned to leave and packed their stuff up and lied and went to the dinner and then immediately went to the airport after they knew what they were doing. They knew exactly what they were doing. They talked about it. That's why they were in there laughing. They were in there planning to leave and pack up everything. That's why it took a while before then she reached out to the concierge to ask to get a ride. Right, like Dinah says. Dinah says, wait, where's Dinah at? Dinah says, the fact that they laugh shows their lack of remorse and empathy. Exactly. Guys, I don't know about y'all. Let me know in the chat. After y'all heard this report, does it make you more passionate about this case? Like you want to fight even more for this girl? Let me know. It just made me feel even more amped up. I was already amped up about this case, but that reading that whole report, guys, it made me want to fight even harder for this girl, to go all for bat for this one woman, what she went through. Let me know how it made y'all feel after you listen to that. Unique says, yes, I feel like the attention for her justice seems to be slowing down, and it shouldn't. Right, that's how I feel, but it feels like it's starting to slowly pick back up, because we heard from ABC News. I don't think I shared the ABC News one. Yeah, let me play the ABC News one real quick. ABC News is reporting on this case again. We heard from Court TV. They messing up the girl's picture still. They still haven't got it right. That's just awful. A lot of the stations are starting to pick up the case again. So we are seeing some pickup, but it's not enough. And like y'all heard me say from the beginning, we got to keep fighting and making noise, because that's the only way it's going to put pressure on the FBI to do their job, basically. Let's watch this ABC News report here. I didn't get to show y'all this. It's not much new information, but hey, I want to still share as much as I can with you guys about what's going on in the case, so you can get all the information in one place.
In charge.
New details revealed in the
I just want someone to be arrested and charged.
New details revealed in the death of Shanquella Robinson, as the family ups the ante on the U.S. to get more involved. Now putting pressure on the White House, they're taking their case directly to President Biden. In a letter obtained by ABC News, their attorneys saying, quote, "My clients recognize that the U.S. government has many priorities and responsibilities, but believe that intervening in this case would not only serve the interests of justice, but also send a clear message that transnational criminal activities will not be tolerated." It was 4 months ago when the 25-year-old from Charlotte, North Carolina, was found unresponsive at a villa in Cabo San Lucas. Less than 24 hours earlier, she and a group of friends had just landed for what was supposed to be a luxury vacation.
You know what I'm thinking about, guys? I feel as though they gave Shanquella the worst room in the villa. You know why I think that? Because based upon the witness's statement that we just read, they said how the light shines into that room, what makes it very annoying and just very uncomfortable to have all that light in there, which is why the owner used some type of wood, I guess, to try to cover up the sun. Let me go back to that part of it. It sounds as though they even gave this girl the worst room in the villa. That's what it sounded like to me, because it seemed like all the light was shine into that room, which is why they had to oh, here it goes right here. This is why I think they hated this girl from the beginning. They gave this girl the worst room. Let's read this real quick before we get back to that, because it made me think about that detail in this report. It says right here, "I can also say that in that villa, both at sunrise and sunset are very annoying. For that reason, the owner decided to place wood on the windows to prevent the sun rays from entering." And that's where he was describing that room where Shanquella was beat to death, because he was talking about where it located. So it sounds like they even gave this girl the most uncomfortable room in the villa with the sun and the sunrise and sunset just beaming in that room. I don't know, it's just something to think about, y'all. How they treated this girl like she was just nothing.
Revealed in the death of the people she was traveling with, allegedly told the family that she died of alcohol poisoning. But the autopsy obtained by ABC News showed that she died from fatal trauma to her neck and spine. Mexican authorities have now issued an arrest warrant for a suspect who has not been identified stateside, but who they say is seen and heard in a violent video showing how Robinson was attacked, the video too graphic to show entirely. Accompanying the family's new letter are explosive documents they claim are statements from the villa concierge to Mexican authorities. The concierge reportedly offered condolences to a person on the trip with Shanquella. He described that person as indifferent and very cold. He says he gave the group room to mourn, but minutes later, heard laughter.
It's been a long journey. I think when evidence is there, someone should have been locked up a long time ago.
So that wasn't really much new information, but it was a new report from ABC News just 2 days ago. So I just posted that to let you know it's starting to pick up a small amount of traction with some of these outlets. We got ABC starting to pick up the case again. We got Court TV coming back on the case, and we got other outlets out there. Also one that, let me see here, that I'm going to play this for you real quick. That Sue Ann went on another station. Why is this doing this? It's acting real weird. I can't even type on this thing anymore. I don't know what's going on, y'all. Something's weird with this. But Sue Ann also has been going around interviewing with different stations. I don't know what's going on. I'll have to show you that on another video because this video is getting too long as it is. So we will come back and we will revisit. Okay. So who you guys want to try this case? US or Mexico? I honestly want US to try it because we've been studying a lot of Mexico cases lately. And one of the examples we saw, was this man who killed his wife in Mexico. And that man only got 7 years in prison. I just don't feel too much confidence that the Mexican judicial system is going to give them the justified sentences that they should be warranted. I feel like the US, if they're convicted in the US, they'll get significant amount of sentencing versus Mexico, which is why I don't want Mexico to prosecute this. Even though they have horrific jails, their sentences are relatively lower than the sentences we see in America. America will have more strict sentences, longer sentences. We might possibly get a life sentence, who knows? But if this case is tried in Mexico, I don't see there being really significant justice. You know, these people might end up getting out in 7 years like that guy did. I just don't have much faith in Mexico's prosecution of the case. So I personally, it would be my wish that the U.S. takes the case. That's what I hope for. What do y'all think in the chat? Let me know. Y'all think U.S. or Mexico? I want to hear from y'all. What is your opinion? Asila says she thinks she wants the United States. JP6 says send them to Aurora, Colorado, Supermax. Right. Okay. So you think US to Colorado. Benjamin says initially I felt Mexico. Now my gut is telling me USA. Okay. I like hearing from Benjamin. He has some great input and stuff. So initially I was with you, Benjamin. At first I did want it to be prosecuted in Mexico too. I was with you at the beginning, but when we started studying a lot of these Mexico cases lately, and we saw how they have been handling these criminal cases and people getting out and getting 12-year sentences and getting out in 7, I started just saying, you know what? I don't want Mexico prosecuting this because I don't see them getting a justified sentence. They're going to get out in no time. And they're going to just be, living scot-free after they killed this woman. I want U.S. to prosecute it because they're going to throw the book at these people if they actually get the case. I hope they do, though. Unicorn, she also thinks that. She says she originally thought Mexico until you explain this. Okay. Yes. Okay. So she's changed her thought process on that. Yeah, girl, you got to come watch some of our videos. We've been talking a lot about Mexico, girl. It is a trip over there. A trip. USA, Crystal wants USA. Mama Zach says Turkish prison. Okay, she wants US also. Is Turkish prison that bad, girl? Miss Shirley says USA the max. Right, girl. Yes. So it seems like a lot of the voting poll in the chat seems to think they all want US. I haven't heard any Mexicos yet. I mean, yes, I was with you guys on Mexico until I heard how they really go down in these prosecutions. You're not going to get much over there. Oh, a JP6 says try them in DC, where I live. Now, I'm thinking they're going to try them in the state where they reside, but under the federal law. Who knows? That's a good question, though. Try them in DC, where I live. Fed conviction, you have to do 80% of your sentences. Yeah, try them over there in the DC. Exactly like JP6 said. Try them in the DC. Dinah says, oh, my Dinah's still here. Girl, you going strong in the chat. You go, girl. She said, if it ends up in Mexico, I'd want U.S. lawyers to help with prosecution. Oh, yeah, girl. Me too. I agree with you on that. This was done for a case in Guatemala. Oh, yeah. Okay, look at her. She's citing other cases. Okay, Dinah. Okay, Miss Litigator in the chat. We got Dinah litigating this case with dignity and grace. She cited another case. She said, this is how y'all supposed to litigate. I love this. She said, this was done for a case in Guatemala. She's citing examples for the court. That is amazing, girl. Yes. Give us some sources, girl. Give us some sources. Oh, we got some DC folks in the house. We got Unicorn. She's from the DC. DC is showing up strong. We got JP6 from the DC. All right. All right, y'all. I'm scared of DC. They coming in strong in the chat. Y'all gonna have to call some of y'all people from y'all different locations because DC is over here calling. They going strong in the chat, y'all. Strong in the chat. Shout out. I'm gonna have to do next time I do another video. I'm gonna have to have y'all shout out y'all states so we can see how many people take a poll whose state is dominating the chat in here. Okay. Okay. Dinah says North Carolina might give the beast. She called her the beast. I like that nickname. You might have to call Dejanay the beast. I like that. She does come off as a beast the way she beat Shanquella. Might give the beast a death penalty. That was done for the man. Ooh, wait, Dinah's back litigating. So Dinah's a litigator. This is how you decipher the litigator from an opinionator. A litigator provides examples to the court, some type of authority, some type of example. And that's what she's doing right now. So Dinah, to me, is being a litigator for tonight. She is not doing the opinionator side. She's really giving her sources here. She's saying it was done for a man that SA'd and unalived his daughter. Okay. All right. I like that litigation there, Dinah. Sounds persuasive to me. I hope they do try her in North Carolina. I hope so, man. Shirley says, what will the president do? Girl, you and me want to know that question, girl. I really don't know because based upon what's her name? Jean Paris. Well, y'all tell me what that woman's name is. Jean Paris. How do you say her name? Paris or whatever. I think that's her name. Karen. It's funny. Her name is Karine or Karen or whatever her name is. Jean Paris. This woman, the way she responded, it just sounded very indifferent. It was like, oh, yeah, we feel remorse for Shanquella. I'm like, girl, do better. Do better, Jean Paris, however you say your name, girl. I can't even say your name for anything. Do better. You should have, you a black woman too. Aren't you supposed to be over here advocating? You should be talking to Mr. Biden and asking him what he gonna do about this. This woman, the way she responded, it was really indifferent. But it's at least some hope, some small speck of hope, all I could say. JP6 says, Dinah, I want them to go Fed. Me too. I'm with JP6. North Carolina moved too slow. DC gives the green weenie. Oh, yeah. You know what? I'm kind of agreeing with JP6. I would like it to be tried in DC too. That sounds more persuasive. I do think that sounds more persuasive. Give this case to the feds. DC will give them long years. That's what we want, guys. We want long years. I want to see them in life you took a life, and I feel like they should give up their life. You took this woman's life. How y'all pronounce her name, Crystal? Is it Pierre? Is it Jean Pierre? Jean Pierre? Is that how you say her name? I don't know. I said that girl's name for nothing. All right, guys, I'm about to head to bed, y'all. One thing I want to say is I'm so sorry, guys, for being several hours late. That was absolutely unacceptable. I told y'all my schedule is crazy. So that's why I never really schedule lives, because look at what happened. This is exhibit A of what happens when I try to schedule a live. So I just got to keep going back to my sporadic lives like I always do, y'all, because every time I try to schedule something, I feel so embarrassed. I hope y'all forgive me. I saw y'all in the chat like, what's going on? Where's the live? I felt so bad because I love y'all so much and I respect y'all so much. So I'm sorry about that. I got to apologize. Please forgive me. Okay. I'm very, very sorry. Asila says definitely federal. Yep, definitely federal. And took it in a terrible, disgusting manner. Right. JP6 says, Esquire, if they go fed, their parole officers ain't even born yet. That part, JP6. Their parole officers aren't even in existence yet. I like that, y'all. Mama Zach says, good night. Thanks for all your coverage on this case. Oh, no problem. Love you, Mama Zach. I appreciate you being in the group with us. We just adore you, girl, so much and appreciate you all the time. Have a beautiful night, sweetie. LOL, I was like, okay, I didn't miss it, but I had no idea you were late. Yes, girl, I was several hours late. It was a hot mess. I tried to explain on another live that I don't usually schedule stuff, and I tried to do the right thing and schedule, and it was a hot mess. It didn't work out, guys. So I just got to go back to my random times. Forgive us, sister. Please, please. I'm sorry. Dinah says, are they waiting on Mexico or the U.S.? What really is holding it up? Girl, that is the $1 million question. They keep sending the attorneys on a goose chase. First, they go to Mexico. Mexico blames the U.S. Then they come to the U.S. U.S. blames Mexico. Then they go back to Mexico and they say, ask the CABO6. Everybody's blaming everybody. So, girl, I wish I knew who was at fault. I don't know. 1 minute I think it's the U.S., then I think it's Mexico. I don't know. Girl, you know what I think, though? I told you how my theories is that whatever documents they filed, the Mexican officials filed that femicide, and the U.S. said, this is not recognized in the United States. You need to fix this. Mexico's like, no, we're not going to fix this. We already gave you our paperwork. You're on your own. You got to either extradite or do something. And so now they're at a standstill. Also, there's an issue with causation, as we just went over the autopsy. Issues as who to really cause what injuries, which can cause some causation issues. And the FBI is very thorough. They're not going to file anything or have anything filed or whatever until they know for a fact they got a slam dunk case. That's why, you know, when they actually come out and start speaking and filing stuff, you know they got something real solid. They must have some hangups in there. But I think the biggest delay is really that charge that they're coming with, that femicide thing. That's a problem too. But either way, it's still the U.S.'s fault, because the U.S. can have the authority to take jurisdiction, and they haven't done that, which is why I feel like the U.S. is just as much responsible. So, yeah, I think the U.S. is the problem, because they could easily say, hey, we're going to take on this case. We're going to prosecute it. Mexico's not following the right charges. We're going to go ahead and start the process. But they didn't do that, which is why I think that they are at fault. But that is just an opinion. I don't know for sure. All right. Love y'all. Have a beautiful night.